Welcome back. I'm Annie, and with me is Birch this time. This intro is going to be a little bit different since we don't have Dillon with us. On this show, we like to rant, rave, and ramble about games that we like, and sometimes games that we don't like. But regardless, even with the name change, we're still here to ask, what's this game? This game is Mass Effect from 2007. It is the first in the trilogy. It is a third-person, not necessarily cover-based like Gears of War, but it is cover-reinforced third-person shooter, where you have a bit of an exploration and sort of an RPG mechanic. It's BioWare's first hit right after Dragon Age, so you know it's going to have the same sort of choices and romancing, and another big thing that is a staple of their series is being able to carry your characters through the trilogy. So your first character can end up in the third game if you make sure to just port your saves over. So this show will be a little bit different. Thank you for joining me, Birch. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Mass Effect and what you think of it?
Mass Effect is actually kind of silly how I started with Mass Effect. I started with a third game because I played on PlayStation, and we didn't actually get the first game until after the second one. So we kind of went backwards on PlayStation from 3, 2 to 1.
Oh, okay, so you started with the first game. Okay. Well, I would be really excited to cover the second and the third game in the future, because I do hear that they're better games overall, so it will be exciting to go forward and enjoy a better game. Just starting off the top here, Mass Effect is a game that I knew I was going to enjoy, because I didn't play it when it first came out. Will you get down, kindly? You're messing with me. Silly.
She could be the third member.
Anyway, so Mass Effect is a game that I knew I was going to enjoy just because it looked fun. I knew it had a good story, and a lot of my friends who I respected were really into the game. So I knew just, off the bat that it was going to at least be interesting. I will put it... I normally don't review, give it a score or anything, but I would honestly give Mass Effect the story... The first game, probably an 8.6, 8.7. Really would have to think about it more to figure out where it loses points. But the video game, the game, probably one of the worst ones I've played on this channel so far.
Whoa.
The video game is so atrociously bad, and now I will give it 1 point back. It was a 2 out of 10. But it is a 3 out of 10 because I do give a lot of excuses to the fact that it was made in 2007 and it has severe limitations on both the constraints of the studio size at the time and their budget, and also the hardware they were manufacturing it on, plus the gameplay of that era. So it really is hard to hold the game back just because old game. But I feel like the game loop is bad, and there are so many things that take away from your enjoyment, even when you are trying to really enjoy the game. We'll get into all of those as they come up. Normally on this show, we cover the story kind of from beginning to end, so there will, of course, be spoilers. This game takes place in the future of humanity, in the 23rd century, or 25th. Yeah, 25th century. And it's after humanity essentially discovers the ability to fast travel. There's super machines that are all throughout the star system and throughout the galaxy itself that can accelerate you so fast that you just kind of teleport without teleporting or breaking the laws of physics, because it's a sci-fi game. So humanity discovers the keys to getting to fast travel. They meet up and become part of the Galactic Alliance. And then years and years later, you play Commander Shepard, who is a warrior of the Human Alliance. So kind of just the Alliance is what we'll just call them. The humans are referred to just typically as the Alliance. Shepard is a member of the Alliance who has a possibility of 3 different backstories. I chose the one where you're just a survivor. You can be a war hero, or I don't remember what the third one is. But either way, none of those truly affect your game or who you are as a character. There's a couple of dialogues that come up throughout the game that reference to your past, and you yourself will talk about it, but it doesn't actually affect any main story aspects or anything big in the game. It doesn't like affect what stats you have or anything like that. So you just kind of pick your backstory for the purposes of role-playing and better immersion and getting to know your character before you took over as them. Once you decorate your character, you get started, and you are immediately in space on the Normandy, which is the ship that is at first it's not yours, and then the rest of the series, the Normandy is your ship. It's a state-of-the-art, like, sort of prototype test ship. Even though it's prototype, it's the official, like, production models of the equipment, even though they're only one of them currently in use. It's like a multi-billion-dollar ship. People are mad that it costs that much. Anyway, so you start the game on the Normandy, and you're walking around and getting to know your crew a little bit, and your crew is a little shaken up because on board is a member of the Spectres, which is the Special Reconnaissance and Tactical Enforcement for the Citadel, which is the galactic government. So essentially they're ultra police, and they don't have anyone below them, or they don't have anyone above them except for the council themselves. And even then, the council doesn't necessarily tell them what to do. They just give them big suggestions and also put them in positions where they can't really say no to those choices. Yeah. So the Spectre that is on board is named Nihilus, and the crew is shaken up about it because this is supposed to just be a test of your new stealth system on the Normandy, which is supposed to be extra advanced because it prevents heat and radio signatures from leaving your ship, which makes it kind of totally invisible to all scans, and unless you crash into it, it's basically invisible. It doesn't clearly state it has a cloaking drive, but it's probably assumed that it does. Is there anything you'd like to bring up about this part of the story? What do you think about the setting that we're in right now?
I love the setting. It's vague sci-fi. I mean, it kind of falls under every trope you can think of. You know, your standard alien races, Galactic Federation, Alliance, you know, something similar to Star Trek or Star Wars or a number of things, but it has enough of its own character that I actually really like the Mass Effect world and kind of everything they have established. It's very much, it's similar, but it's very much its own thing.
Just give me one quick second. I'm trying to pull the chat, so I can see the rest of the YouTube chat. The Normandy sort of serves as the hub for the rest of the game. It's kind of your base of operations when you're not in one of the main out in the space places, and you're not like on a planet doing a mission. You'll basically always return to the Normandy, where you can settle down, interact with your crew, and you also have the ability to gear up, and this is where you will advance the relationship with basically all your crew and plan out your next missions. The game story kind of starts out after you meet with Nihilus. Nihilus lets you know that you are heading to Eden Prime, which is a planet that the humans have colonized, that it has significant importance because they've recently uncovered more Prothean technology. Prothean technology is the things that humanity discovered on Mars back that kind of accelerated their growth and put them into the galactic, galactic civilization. So if they didn't find the Prothean, if they didn't find the Prothean tech, they wouldn't got to the Citadel. They wouldn't be part of the super space civilization. So once they hear that there's more Prothean tech, the humans are immediately trying to excavate it and get it off world because there's obvious reason. There's terrorists could happen. You could have like rebels pop up and try to steal it from you, or in this case, it turns out that a invading army of sentient robots that came from a different part of the galaxy that have kind of just been chilling there for the last 200 years suddenly moved in and started attacking this planet to take the artifact. So the mission became a lot more complicated immediately. initially it was just written up as a testing of the drive of the Normandy and testing all of the basic beta features of it. Okay, I think I have my chat now. I apologize for anyone that was chatting and I wasn't able to see it. This is my first time going live to everything using this podcast with my new setup, so I will apologize to anyone for any weirdness or anything that isn't normal on this show. We're trying new things, we're trying to improve, we're trying to be better, so things will naturally be a little rocky until we hit our stride.
It's half the fun.
Absolutely. So, you talk to your crew, let them know kind of what's going on. Are you a single snake on the scene now? I don't think that's for me. But either way, so you talk to your crew, let them know that this isn't a shakedown run, and they were kind of all right. Their suspicions are accurate. And you get prepared to go to the ground with your 2 team members, Caden Akenko? How do you pronounce his last name?
Alenko, I think?
Yes, Caden Alenko. And
Alenko.
yeah, and Jenkins, who is just a generic, off-the-mill diet, inscripted soldier who's just too cheerful to be on the job. He's your regular greenhorn. And unsurprisingly, he gets killed within the first 15 seconds of the mission because he walks around and gets killed in a mini cutscene because he doesn't use cover.
He is definitely the red shirt of this away team.
I assume that's a Star Trek reference. That's one of the nerdy things that I've never really got into, but I know that it's supposed to be a thing where the red shirts always die, like in every episode.
Yep. Because it was always, with an away team, it would be established character. Oh, crewman Jenkins, we've never seen before except for right now. You're going to come along with us on this adventure. And he'd be dead within 5 minutes.
It was unfortunate. His first name was Leroy. Oh, yeah. So you immediately find out, okay, well, that guy's dead, and you and Alenko kind of just creep along, killing some drones and pushing back, trying to figure out what the situation is until you can reach the excavation side of the beacon and visualize what's going on, because radio chatter has been cut out, and a lot of things have gone wrong, in fact. I actually do have a clip of where they are. You get a transmission before you go to Eden Prime, and it's a kind of a radio beacon showing, or a radio transmission showing the point of view of one of the soldiers on the ground. So we can't really see what's going on because it's shaky cam, things are exploding, people are being blown up, and then we see what looks to be like a giant hand or a giant octopus in the sky. And then everything keeps exploding, and the scene cuts out.
It cuts out after that. No comm traffic at all. Just goes dead. There's nothing. Reverse and hold at 38.5.
Well, I apologize for the music in there. I have music in all my clips. So, that is basically the thing that is attacking, and it is sending its robot army from, assumably it, because it's a giant ship. Once you get a little bit more intel, you find out that these robots are called the Geth. The Geth are a race of not exactly sentient, they're semi-sentient thought forms that inhabit robot bodies that are not necessarily a hive mind, but have cluster-based processing. So the more of them they are together, the more of them, the more smarter they are. Yet they do not inhabit a hive mind. They are clearly listed as individual thinkers, which makes the Geth very interesting, but also needlessly complicated and immensely stupid. So the Geth in their story event. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you murder a lot of Geth in this game.
Oh yeah, they're basically the random enemy number 1 that they just toss at you. Yeah. You get Geth Soldier, Geth Soldier 2, Geth Shotgunner, Geth Sniper, and that's basically it. You just fight these guys repeatedly. Occasionally you'll fight some other humans and some other aliens and stuff, but for the most part you're just shooting Geth because then nobody has to feel bad about it.
They're just robots.
So, you keep going through Eden Prime. You meet some scientists if you decide to. There's a lot of optional objectives and optional things in this game, which is one of the things that makes it really great. It's not just a linear game where you walk down some hallway, shoot some guys, walk down the other hallway, hit a button, walk down that hallway again, and then put the command key, and then you end the mission. No, it is sort of like that in the actual. We'll get into it. It's open and it's not at the same time. So you have the option at this point to go to the right to interact with these scientists and figure out what's going on, or you can just keep moving on to the left and get on with your mission. Either way, you'll eventually meet up where the beacon was excavated and it's already been moved. So you have to now go the other way and essentially go to where the beacon is being transported. The entire time, your Spectre buddy, Nihilus, is doing recon and traveling alongside you, but not in your party. You can't even actually see him, he's just over the radio, so presumably he's just off-screen being cool. Until the next scene, in which he will meet up with... he will meet up near a storage facility that has some stuff going on, and he will be doing some investigating, as he is doing off-screen. And while he's investigating, another Spectre will appear on this scene, and his name is Saren. Both of them are an alien race called Taurians, and they have a bit of a history, so Nihilus instantly recognizes Saren and is like, oh, hey, what's up, man? I didn't know you were on this mission. Saren lies, saying that the Council sent him, and makes Nihilus drop his guard. At this point, Nihilus just gets shot in the back of the head. Well, Saren aims the gun at the back of his head, but whenever you go to his body, he still has his head intact, so either it's a non-head explodey round, or he shot him in the back at the last second and it went through his chest, because he still has his head completely intact.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask, Annie, going up to that point, did you take time to talk to the scientists and some of the people on the planet, or did you rush right in?
I spent my playthrough took 60 hours, so I talked to essentially everybody. I went real slow. I went live on my channel, my personal channel at Insanity, and I live streamed 13 or 14 episodes. Some of them were 6-7 hours of gaming. Some of them were an hour and a half. So my streaming time wildly varies, but the end time clocked out about 60 hours for my playthrough, because I really wanted to make sure on games that I like, I try to 100% them if it's easy. If it's not a game where I have to do multiple playthroughs, or beat the game on Impossible, then beat the game on Nightmare, and then beat the game on Nightmare with using no powers. Yeah. Sure, I might do it if the game's really good, but generally I try to get as many achievements as I can in one playthrough and 100% it in one playthrough. At a certain point, it just gets really boring in Mass Effect, because none of the collectibles, none of the things you're getting that get that collection completion give you anything at all. Maybe some money and some XP, so if you're if you're struggling for some extra levels, maybe you can go mining, but generally speaking, all of the collectibles in it completely are just ass. You get a tiny little bit of audio logs here and there that'll give you one paragraph of lore or something like that, but if you're the type of person that really wants the lore on it, I would honestly recommend you just do the missions, skip all the collectibles, and then just read the Wikipedia straight up. Because the gameplay loop of driving across the planet to find one mine node that you didn't collect the first time you were on this planet, it's not only an artificial gameplay patterner, it just patterns the runtime of the game, it's also infuriating on the planets that they decide to make made out of mountains for no reason, and then they have 80-degree mountains, so you have to either go around it or force your vehicle up it, Skyrim style, by driving at severe angle. It gets to the point where it's just nauseatingly boring and frustrating trying to go collect all this stuff. I wish I didn't do it. Now, I understand the entire time, all of the things in the game that I was not enjoying, I put myself in the position to not enjoy. Once I realized I didn't like driving around and collecting shit, I should have just stopped doing it. Why did I keep doing it? I don't know. Normally, if I play it on Xbox, because On Xbox, you get achievements, and achievements on Xbox give you gamer score. Gamer score doesn't give you anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything to anybody, but I like big number go burr. And if I can get the achievements and make that number go up, I'll do it. I played this on EA Access, though. It didn't get any achievements. I got achievements, but I didn't get Xbox achievements. So I really don't know why I tortured myself constantly just driving this fucking Mako around. I really don't get it. And I didn't even dislike the Mako. If the Mako was like in a different game with different terrain, or if it was just like driving around the city or something, the Mako wouldn't be that bad except for its reverse mechanic. Because the way the vehicle drives, it's based on the direction of your camera, and your camera also points the omnidirectional gun on the top of the vehicle. So if you are in the middle of driving forward and try to turn around and shoot somebody, your vehicle will not only screech to a halt, it'll try to turn around, and you will start running into walls, and I believe it's called Austin powering yourself, where you get the car perfectly stuck and you can't fucking do anything about it. So
I think that's why those jump jets are there.
The jump jets also make it a lot more fun to drive around because you have two different jets to play with. You can, if you drive the vehicle correctly, you can boost upwards, hit the nose on the ground, boost it upwards, and just kind of drive like this on the ground and just dolphin drive. The game provides you with a lot of things you can do to make driving the Mako entertaining. Just there is no reward for actually doing it. It's just a waste of time. So the listener here, if you ever gonna go play Mass Effect 1 again, skip the collectibles. Fuck it. If you really need some extra levels, just cheat. Just download a mod pack. Just cheat. Just grab some extra levels. Do whatever. Honestly, because you will not enjoy the experience of the video game, and it will really make you hard to get it back into the stories in the moments where you just spent 20 minutes driving the Mako up a mountain.
Especially, that is the one trophy I don't have for the Mass Effect, the first game, is collecting all the Asari writings and finding the Solarian dog tags.
I think I missed a total of like 2 collectibles. I checked because all of the collectibles, fortunately, are tracked in your assignments tab, which is like your secondary quests menu. And it'll tell you in there, like, you have 19 out of 20 medals discovered. You have 35 out of 35 dog tags, which is, I don't know if this is in the base game. I've only played the Legendary Edition, the remaster, that came out in 2019, 2020. I don't know when it came out. It came out in the last decade, so it was in 2007. It is possible to collect more collectibles than is needed to get these completions. I was to the point where I had, like, I think you said Asari writings. I think there's 35, and I had 39 out of 35. I don't know how I collected more. I don't know if the UI glitched and I collected something twice. I don't know if there's more than you need and you can just collect over the amount. Don't know. But I do know that there was a point where I was collecting redundant collectibles, and it pissed me off even more. That rant that I just went on is a reason that the game is not like a 6 out of 10. Is because there is so much like extra game that is just abusing to play. Except for the fact that you are a kid in 2007 and you don't have money for another game and this is the only game you can play, there's no reason to do this. Snug said XP is the only reward. Yeah, honestly, that is the only point. Money becomes pointless after a point. Like, it becomes absolutely worth. My wallet was 99999 like after like level 10. I didn't even spend money until the very end of the game where I was like, I don't quite like this pistol. I'm going to grab a different pistol. Okay, well, I didn't like that pistol either.
Money's really weird in Mass Effect because at the start of the game, you have so little of it, and everything just to buy like a new weapon almost wipes you out at the start. But then, like you were saying, not even halfway through, you've got several million credits, and you also gain just a ton of gear going on missions and doing things. You're selling most of it.
I'm really thankful about the the session based omni looting. You can like land on a planet and clear everything on the planet, run through, kill every enemy, grab everything, and then before you jump off world, all you have to do is open your inventory and you collect everything that you've killed immediately. You're always auto looting. You can't miss something in the game unless you didn't walk over and press E or whatever your interact key was.
Yep.
So that is a good thing about the game. There's a lot of good things. It's just it's a really dated game, honestly. So I know we're gonna move on from that and get back to the story. So after Nihilus gets killed, you come up on his corpse to find out that a man was hiding right near his corpse. He lets you know that it was another Taurian who seemingly was his friend. Name drops him, and then the guy goes back to hiding. You keep going on the way because now the beacon is being moved to the train depot, so it can be moved presumably to the ship to be moved off-world. There's a couple of transport steps. I don't know why the big giant spaceship didn't fly over and just go whoop and pick up the beacon. But hey, I wasn't there on the planet at the time. I don't know. maybe they had really good anti-air guns. I don't know. You catch up with Saren. Oh, well, you would catch up with Saren, but Saren interacts with the beacon, and he gets whatever he wants from the beacon, and he just kind of leaves and sends for his extraction crew to grab the beacon. Why he doesn't stay to defend it, I don't know. Seems like a big error in his plans here. He got the info and just dips because he doesn't know about Shepard yet and doesn't assume there's any threat, I guess.
Yeah.
He just leaves some basic geth behind to guard the beacon, and after you clear them all out and disarm the bombs that are about to blow up the train depot, which is confusing because if they want the beacon, why would they blow up the depot? I don't know. Again, the geth are phenomenal. They're astoundingly stupid. They don't even have like thoughts, even though they're semi-sentient. It's really upsetting how the geth are treated in the story because, they want you to be like, hey, they're people. It's like, yeah, but they can't think. They can't just be like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. They don't have free will. Maybe they're people, but they're zombies.
They also turn people into some kind of cyborg zombie.
Rochi asks, I wonder why the character was called Shepard. Just a quick guess. It's because you're shepherding your crew through the adventures, and you are the shepherd of your herd. That's just a stupid guess, but I mean, honestly, they could have named him Jones. It would have been just as good of a story. The name doesn't matter, but it is interesting that they picked Shepard. After you clear out the geth and disarm the bombs, you meet up at the beacon, and you call for extraction to pick up the beacon, and Alenko, before he gets... Alenko kind of walks around and is inspecting the beacon because it kind of starts to whisper to him, and he starts to get close to him, and it starts to interact with him. Not before Shepard goes up and does the classic thing where instead of just tackling both of you out of the way, of harm's way, Shepard goes up, grabs Alenko, and then throws him, and then just stands there. So then Shepard can get mind-fucked by the beacon, at which point the beacon gets overloaded and explodes because it's been used too much, or your brain's too fucked up. Story reasons. The beacon explodes.
Plot reasons.
There is a character here that is also... I've just completely glossed over. It's Ashley. I had no attachment to Ashley outside the first mission. I ran one mission with Ashley, talked to her a couple times on the ship. She didn't seem interesting, so I never ran another mission with her ever again.
Okay, funny enough, I think it's the difference between you played as a female shepherd, right?
Yes.
I played as a male shepherd in my games. Ashley, if you're a male shepherd, Ashley is the one who first goes over to mess with the beacon, and then he throws her out of the way.
Ah, neat.
Gets whammied by it. So
okay, that's an interesting difference.
So I think depending on if you play as a male or female shepherd, the opposing sex character, either Caden or Ashley, presents themselves a bit more in the story, because I could almost say the same thing about Caden during my playthrough as a male shep, unless you go out of your way to really talk to him, he doesn't do a lot.
I agree with you completely. The big difference is Kaiden's already on your crew, and Ashley's just some random that you pick up on a mission because she didn't get killed. There is an immediate just disconnect with, you already know Cade. Presumably you've already had a bunch of off-screen time. You've run missions together. You know each other by name. You know what's going on. He knows about your backstory. And then you meet up with Ashley, and if you don't keep bringing her on missions, the forced interaction with her on Eden Prime is the only time you ever meet with her, except for the last mission. One of the last missions. And at that point, you aren't forced to interact with any of your crew. You're forced to always bring 2 crew members, so you have to interact with some of them. But after that first mission, you, again, like you said, you don't have an attachment to these characters. You don't know them. You don't have to ever talk to them again. The only reason I had any connection with Caden is because before I went to Eden Prime, I had already talked to him on the ship, talked to him for a little bit, and then after I talked to Nihilus, went back and talked to him again. I had already had 2 dialogues with Caden, whereas Ashley, I don't even know who she is. She's just the girl in the white and pink armor, and then she suddenly says, "Hey, can I come with you?" And Shepard's like, "Yep." I can't even say no. Like, I don't necessarily think I would have said no, but I didn't even have the option to be like, "No, we don't need you. That's fine. Just stay here." Eden Prime clearly needs you because it was just attacked by a giant ship and a bunch of zombie robots. So you probably need to be here to clean up no. Okay, you're just coming with? Okay, cool. Nope, no problem. Yeah. That is why I didn't necessarily have a relationship with Ashley. I just felt like the story forced her upon me, and then was like, "Hey, she's your problem now." I'm like, I don't like this.
See, as a male chef, there's actually little parts where you interact and you flirt with her. And
yeah, but that's only if you go down. That's only if you go downstairs and talk to her. If after you bring her on the ship, you never interact with her again, you don't talk to her until the end of the game.
I'm trying to think. I think in some of the cutscenes she might cut in a little bit, but beyond that, yeah.
Only the cutscenes where she's on the ship and it's like a post-mission cutscene where you're all sitting in the comms room. That's the only time she's in. Like, because I didn't bring her with, she was with me on Eden Prime. She was with me in all of the briefings and debriefings, and then she was with me on the last mission. But I never built up a relationship, and I don't even know her backstory. Yeah, that's me. That's on me as a captain. I should have went out of my way to learn this person that I bothered to pick up, but I just didn't. And now, I won't be able to because, depending on your choices in the game, she won't make it out of the game. Spoilers. Yeah. So, I guess either Ashley or Alenko, they try to interact with the beacon, you save one of them, and then you get imprinted with whatever information was on that thing, and then you go back to the Citadel to tell them what's going on. You provide information saying that it was this guy Saren, and they say, yeah, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. He's a Spectre. We're not going to put him on trial. You have to go basically collect some evidence, and you have to collect some evidence to kind of pin Saren to him being at Eden Prime. You have to get some proof because apparently you don't have body cams. So you are walking around on the Citadel, which is like this big space city. It's got like a park. There's like 2 nightclubs. There's the CSEC Academy. There's a couple of markets. It's actually a pretty cool hub. I honestly really, really like the Citadel. After you learn how to navigate it and which zone transitions travel to which ones, the map isn't very interactive. The map is literally just a piece of paper that you can zoom in and out on. You can't click on different things on the map and they won't tell you what they are. You can't click on zone transitions and go to the next zone and see it on the map. You essentially just hover over it and it'll say, "This will be to Citadel Tower." And that's it. So at least you know where you're going. And it's not that's not a critique on the map. That's just me explaining how the map works. It's not an interactive map in any way. But once you learn the Citadel and figure out where all the fast travel points are, because the Citadel is big enough that it needs localized fast travel, you find out that there's a couple of different side stories that are happening on the Citadel. Which of the 3 crew members on the Citadel would you like to cover first, Birch?
Oh, who do we? Well, I think we meet Garrus first. So let's start with him.
So, who's Garrus?
Well, he's your best boy and best pal. He's a Turian who is a member of CSEC who already has it in for Saren. When you meet him in the Citadel, as you're going to go report to the council, he questions you and he's really gung-ho about turning in some kind of dirt on Saren. And eventually you join up with him after you help him rid some thugs out of a doctor's office.
The doctor is I think a good character. She's like a C character at best. She has a couple of lines, but she's constantly getting in trouble on the Citadel. She's running a very sketchy medical business because she cares about doing the job better than she cares about following the rules. So she's illegally selling medical supplies. She's giving people drugs when they're already over their legal limit. You know, there's a lot going on with this doctor. Great character though. After you distract the guy intimidating the doctor, Garrus performs a sick-ass headshot, and I'm really glad that Mass Effect has the option to choose dialogue. Now, granted, a lot of the dialogue in a lot of cases is more of just flavor. Shepard's always going to say the same thing except for up to choice moments, and these flavors only really enhance your Paragon or Renegade stat, which is just like, are you a good boy or are you an asshole? That's pretty much all the meter is. It'll eventually help you with enhanced dialogue choices, but you can kind of stack the favor for you anyway by going with charisma or intimidate stats if you want those anyway. However, there are certain dialogues that are locked behind a Paragon or a Renegade option, and no matter how much intimidate you have, if you're not enough of a Renegade, you won't be able to pick that option. So, if you're gonna just like metagame it and figure out what choices you want to make at the end of the game, you might want to look that up. But otherwise, just make whatever choices feel natural to you, because it never with the exception of like core choices, it's never like, hey, this is the good option, this is the bad option, you're a cunt, to pick this one. There's essentially usually 3 dialogue options. It's firm, soft, or middle. That's kind of like the 3 options of how Shepard will reply. And once Garrus headshots the doctor, I literally out loud said, ooh, nice shot! And then one of the options for Shepard to say is, nice shot. And I'm like, oh, sweet, okay, I'm definitely picking that one, because that's literally what I said out loud. Hey, nice shot, bro. Blew his head off.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards, Garrus goes back to do kind of put together some more of his intel, and you will meet up with a Krogan, which is like a lizard kind of alien. Sort of. They're reptilian. They're like grunts from Halo, except less scaly and like 8 feet tall.
I always thought of them as like a walking rhino without a horn. Because when you fight them, they just sort of rush. They just charge at you. They cast immunity and then charge at you. So you just make them. Or my guy, I was a Vanguard. I just made him float, and he just flew into the sky.
I had
immunity.
I had biotics on my team, so they would do that for me. But that really messed up my playstyle. At the very beginning of the game, it's not something that's really important, except for if you have something you specifically want to do. At the very beginning of the game, you're allowed to choose a class. There's a bunch of different class options, which will be like, this Shepard is good with assault rifles. This Shepard has good mind powers. This Shepard is really good at tech. Oh, this Shepard was an assassin. Like, and it just kind of tilts your character's skill tree into a certain direction. I picked the Infiltrator, which is essentially the sniper tech class, and I accidentally made myself way too powerful. I assumed the sniper was going to be good because it's a third-person cover shooter. So if the enemy peeks, you're supposed to be able to kill him in 1 or 2 bullets, because that's how cover shooters work, especially with single-fire snipers. There is a burst-fire sniper, but I never use that one because it's awful. But as soon as I hit like level 5 or 6, and I had put enough points to get the skill with your sniper, which essentially just doubles the damage of the next shot, I was just deleting everything in my path. It got to the point where I was so obnoxiously powerful that I had to use other guns or just run around in combat and try to punch people to knock them on the ground and have my crew kill them. It got to the point where I was so powerful I had to bump up the difficulty twice, and I was still not having any challenge with the game. That is another critique, because the game's difficulty scaling is extra fucked in Legendary Edition, because you can go past level 30, which is the initial level cap. Enemies will scale with you and stuff, but you're not meant to have that much skill points. Like, if you just max everything in your skill tree, you're completely unstoppable. Especially if you're a shepherd that happens to have immunity and the ability to restore your own shields, and you can disable enemy shield. I accidentally, like I said, made myself way painfully too powerful. I could have chose to use assault rifles and shotguns, which are not my specialization, and like tone down my own skill, pump up the difficulty, and made it like a more of a standoff shooter. But it got to the point where I killed everything in one hit, and any enemy that broke my shield killed me in one hit. If my shield was broken, I was dead. But if I had shield, I could just hit the shield button and get my shield back, and I'm never in any danger if my shield was up. The New Game Plus that I played just slightly a little bit of, much better, because you're already leveled, you already have skills, and if you're playing on the max difficulty, it feels like it's intended for... It feels like that's the intended difficulty, is New Game Plus, level 30 Shepherd, with a Legendary Edition, and you're on the max difficulty. Because otherwise, combat is just wonky. You're either too strong, or enemies are too strong. A great example is way later, there's an enemy species that can shoot acid at you, and if you are a shield-based shepherd, it'll just go right through you and kill you on the hardest difficulties. And your health kit is on a cooldown, just like everything else in the game, so it doesn't matter if you have enough health kits. If 2 enemies hit you and you go, you're dead. So at that point, I had to scale back the difficulty because I was just I just ran into a wall of poison and just couldn't get past it. So, again, it's the first game in the series. They never made a shooter before. They don't know how to scale that kind of... I will admit that I felt like Dragon Age Origins had a little bit of difficulty scaling too, which is another game made by BioWare. Depending on which class you had and depending on which crew you had, you could get stuck in kind of like a save loop where you're just in a room that you could never beat and you couldn't go back because you didn't have enough auto saves, or you didn't hard save because you're an idiot. So you just are stuck in this room forever, and because this mage is 10 levels higher than you and you don't have a dispel ability. So
you didn't level enough and you're stuck in that stupid mage tower and you can't get out because it's a 2-hour-long solo.
So I will admit I was not surprised that this game had scaling issues and that enemies had no idea whether they were too strong or too weak. Once I got past that, combat just kind of became trivial, and it was just like, okay, I'm just here to enjoy the story. This game doesn't have combat. It's a point-and-click headshot simulator. That's fine. Even when I'm using the assault rifle, all I have to do is hold down the click button, and then they're dead. I don't have to click it once. I gotta hold it. A little bit different.
I didn't play the Infiltrator on my playthrough. I played as the Vanguard, which is a biotic user. And there was a point where I had both Singularity and Lift. And if there was just... all you'd have to do is cover for a moment, wait for your cooldown, throw Lift or Singularity, and it basically, like you were saying, except for a couple of bits, made combat trivial because everything was just...
ragdolling
or suspended, and you can just shoot them out of the air.
Or
a fun combo was to lift and then use throw, which you basically just lift them and then just throw them over the horizon sometimes if you're outside.
I like how much diversity there is in combat, but I think until New Game Plus, the game doesn't really know how to handle how powerful you get, how quickly you get. Especially if you're running with a diverse crew. The next crew member, getting back to it, that you meet is a Krogan named, can't remember his first name, but his last name is Rex. No, his last name is Rex. It's something Rex. Starts as a U. It's like
Urdnot.
Yeah.
Urdnot Rex.
Yeah, Urdnot Rex. Yeah, so everybody just calls him Rex because his first name is a nightmare. And his dad's name was Jared, and he doesn't have the ability to just be named Mike or something simple like Jared.
Yeah.
So he just goes by Rex because he wrecks people. And he is on a little mission on the Citadel to kill a guy named Fist. He is a mercenary through and through, and his current contract is to kill this guy. He doesn't care really why or what, or he's just a mercenary. He gets paid to kill. That's what he's good at. So you meet up with Rex, and Rex says, hey, this guy Fist, I want to go after him. And you say, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll let you know. And it turns out that I don't exactly know how you get from this step to the next step, but it turns out that this guy Fist is dealing with a Quarian named Tali, who is working alongside this guy named the Shadow Broker, and there's like this... the Shadow Broker is another one of those like C characters that doesn't really exist. It doesn't have any like... He's just a nameless guy. He's like the Thieves Guild. He just takes information and he sells it. He has a bunch of pawns he works for. Nobody knows who he is. So it's kind of a cool character in the fact that it could be anybody. And it could be nobody. It could be a group of people. Whatever. The Shadow Broker has some intel, and Tali is after it because... this is the part I don't remember. I was distracted during this quest, and I completed it in like 4 minutes because I just sprinted straight to her. So I don't remember exactly what was happening.
Tali is on her pilgrimage because her race, when they reach of age, they all go on a pilgrimage to gain something and bring it back to the family or their race, basically. And while she was studying some of the Geth, she found one of the body cams, basically, that recorded Saren talking to the matriarch and planning their evil things. And so she was trying to get that information to somebody, and that's how the Shadow Broker kind of got involved in that. And then the Fist guy was going to...
betrays the Shadow Broker because he was swayed by Saren to go get the information from Tali. So he's going to go kill Tali, and you have to save her, or don't save her, and I guess she just dies. Presumably that's what happens. Like I said, the timer appeared on my screen, and I just hit the sprint button, ran right out of the nightclub, and I ran straight down the hallways, straight through the other hallway, and then, oh, there's a cutscene. I was like, I guess I ran the right way.
Yeah. The first time I did that, I went the wrong way, and you get a game over once the timer runs out.
Oh, it's just a game over? That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I should have looked it up because normally I look up like what happens if I didn't do that. But yeah, just game over and then you just get to do it again.
Yeah, you did it right the first time, so you don't need.
Okay. Well, that's pretty interesting because some games will like just be like, oh well, you didn't pick up that character, you never get to interact with them. They're not in the story because you let them die in the first mission. It's like, oh damn it, I suck.
Well, what's kind of funny is later on you can actually choose to not have, like, once you get the evidence and stuff from Tali, you can choose not to have her join the party.
Yeah, and then she's just permanently grayed out for the rest of the game. They don't even take her out of the menus.
No, and that's what I think is kind of interesting is the fact of Garrus, Rex, and Tali are technically optional characters because you can choose to not bring them with you, but that's like losing half the fun of the game.
And like I said, crew diversity is really important if you want to just stomp builds. So you want to make sure that you have these other crews to plug into your different builds. So, you know, Tali is the tech expert, Rex is a biotic warrior, and then Garrus is a tech warrior, and then the future character we haven't talked about is full biotics, and then, again, it's another split with the other two, tech and biotic and tech and warrior. So it really depends on which trees you want to go with. If you just want everybody to kill with guns, just equip all the soldiers. If you want people to be able to deal with the Geth and CC, bring a biotic and a tech person. So that's what I ended up doing. I just brought Tali the whole game because she just had all the tech abilities, and I brought the biotic person. So I just had a completely... Anytime I couldn't kill somebody in one bullet, I was like, oh, okay, they got this.
Yeah. What's kind of nice about it is, depending on... everyone will get kind of a different playthrough with it, just a little bit, because depending on which of the classes you choose at the beginning, each of those extra characters sort of complements you or fills a role that you can't do yourself. So,
Right, because I had no biotic abilities, so I needed a biotic on my team if I wanted any of those skills.
Yep. Just like how on mine, I didn't have any tech abilities, so I always had to bring Garrus or Tally with me on most things. So
Once you catch up with Tali in the alley, she is it's about to get scuffed up by Saren/Fist's guys, and then once you provide enough of a distraction, she jumps out of the way and kind of throws like a flashbang sort of concussive grenade, knocking some people down and hurting them. Apparently this is a display of skill and tenacity and power, because at the end of the fight, Tali will be like, well, you saw what I can do. What, throw one grenade? I mean, thanks, but like, I killed them in 2 seconds with I killed one guy with one bullet, and then I threw a grenade at the other two and killed both of them instantly. So, if your grenade killed both of them instantly, it would have been impressive, but it didn't. So, you save her, and she gives you the intel that you need to kind of close in on Saren. Before you leave the Citadel, however, you are given the option to kind of go after Fist because of, all of this shit that just happened. At which point, Rex definitely wants to come with because that's his contract. I did not bring him with, but I assume he'll be pissed off if you go and take his contract from him or let him go free or whatever. But I was like, oh, this guy asked to come with. I'm just going to bring him because I'm not an asshole. I mean, I have no reason to say no to him. So I brought him with, and after you catch up with Fist, you get a little bit of intel out of him, and at the end of the conversation, Rex immediately kills him, if you brought him with. Otherwise, I assume he doesn't immediately get killed. But Fist immediately dies, and then you have the option to like react negatively or whatever. I just kind of said nothing, because dude stood on business. He said exactly what he was going to do. He told me to bring him with. I brought him with, and then he did the thing he was going to do. I had no right to be shocked or upset about that situation. I brought the killer. So he finishes his contract and is basically like, hey, I got nothing else going on. Can I hang out with you guys? And of course, you let Rex come with, because why would you not let Rex come with? He rocks.
No, Rex is great. I do wish they would have given him just a little more something to go with you, because he really does feel like he just is bored and you're giving him something to do now that it's like, well, that assignment's done. I got nothing on my plate right now. I guess I'll follow you around. Because at least
it's a standing job. I mean, I do know what you mean. It is just, he, even more so than Ashley, where it's just like, hey, I have nowhere else to go. Can I come with you? He's literally just like, hey, I'm bored. I'm going to come with you. Yeah. And you say, sounds good.
Tally, you could at least argue, is like a Geth expert because she's a Quarian.
Right, she might have some intel on that, and she also has a reason because she's going on the pilgrimage. Maybe you can provide her something that can help her. There's more of a direct connection there. And Garrus comes with you because he's going after Saren, and he's ready to quit his job on the Citadel to kind of be like a rogue agent to go do extra work stuff. Be like, it's outside of work, but it's still work related. Okay.
And then Ashley, you could at least argue her squad got wiped out in that first attack, so she kind of wants in on it to revenge or vengeance, however you want to put it. So, but it's just that then Rex is just like, oh, I'm bored and I like to hit things and shoot them, so I'll go with you. But oh, he's fun. He's a great tank.
So you now kind of have all of the people from the Citadel working with you, and then you go to provide the evidence up to the council to be like, hey, we for sure can tie this guy to this event, and now, hey, he's for sure like a bad guy. You got to do something about it. They kind of reluctantly agree and say, all right, well, this proves it. This audio file that you have proves it. You could have doctored this audio file and made it in a lab, but no worries. We trust audio inherently. It can't be fake. This 2007. So
no, there's no deep fakes back then.
No, that wasn't even a thought. Like a worry that people had to think about. Then they strip him of his Spectre status. They can't do much else because they don't know where he is. He's kind of he had Spectre status and used it to kind of create a a base of operations for himself in a place where nobody knew what was going on, and collect a mass army and do a bunch of stuff. And then now that he doesn't have like police powers, he still has all of his weapons and toys and friends. He just can't walk onto the Citadel legally.
Yeah.
So at the end of this conversation, the human ambassador and the captain of your ship both kind of push for you to become the new human Spectre. You were initially going to be at the beginning of the story. It was kind of the shakedown test run of the Normandy was supposed to be a duel of a candidacy tryout run for you to be a Spectre. The mission escalated, become even more of a field test for you. Even though you kind of failed the objective, you still proved your worth, and then not only that, you brought evidence to why your mission failed, so you kind of covered your own ass. The Citadel Council promotes you to Spectre, and you officially become the first human Spectre, even though you're not.
Technically.
Yeah, you're technically not. Technicality is all that matters. Captain Anderson was a Spectre for a couple of hours, and, then he got deranked, but he still was. I feel like that's just, they sleep on this man for no reason.
Yeah, he's also got a great voice actor. I think it's Keith David.
He voices the Arbiter.
Yeah. Well, he also voiced Spawn in the old 90s cartoon.
Work adjacent.
And,
yeah, right.
And Goliath from Gargoyles.
Afterwards, you get promoted and you finish up whatever stupid side quest you got going on to the Citadel, and you go down back to the hangar and find out that Captain Anderson has been removed of his rank, removed of his position. He still has his rank of captain, but now he has a desk job on the Citadel because, well, you need a fancy super ship, and they happen to have one, so they just take his and give it to you.
Yep. You're the captain now.
Yeah, back-end politics. I would have, if I were Shepard, I would have been like, okay, sounds good. Welcome aboard, Vice Captain. Let's go. And just took off with Anderson, because he seems like he knew what he was doing. According to your pilot, he's been on hundreds of missions and survived all of them, and now we're just gonna all right, well, have a nice soft retirement. Just go hang out in the Citadel for a couple of years. Let Shepard handle it now. Now that you are a Spectre, you no longer have a chain of command you have to follow. You are politely suggested to take on 3 missions at this point. There's a planet that has a Geth attack going on named Pharos that has a bit more going on that planet. There is a excavation site where one of Saren's allies' daughters went missing. And then the last planet, I don't remember what that mission was. I think you just destroy an outpost.
It was Noveria.
Yeah, what do you do on that planet?
It's the ice planet with the giant bug alien guys.
Oh, yes. Okay. Noveria is the first one I went to, and I forgot about it because it was just kind of an unremarkable story. You go there on a mission. Again, I don't really know what the mission is, but you go to the planet and you touch down, and your goal is to track down the ally of Saren. Apparently she was here and she's stationed up on this mountain nearby, and you're gonna go meet up with her and see what's going on. You can question her or take her in alive, who knows. That's what you're gonna try to go do. You land on sort of like another little hub colony area. It's like a mini indoor city. Kind of like there's a shop or two, there's a security station, there's room for the political offices, and there's a couple of side quests going on here. There's a journalist who wants to expose her corrupt boss. There is this one guy who wants information back from his company because he's kind of been kicked out of it. And there's like a lot of subterfuge and espionage that you can do during these missions. Mostly just walking around, killing a room full of people, and then hacking a computer. But
yeah.
I guess that's espionage. It's
You
aggressive
don't do it
espionage.
quiet. Yeah.
My sniper was not quiet. I'll promise you that. There was no silencer in that bitch.
Well, I just love in that mission how he tells you, keep it quiet. You kill something like 7 or 8 people in that room, just throwing bombs, fire, all kinds of weapons firing off, and then you just sort of walk out, and everyone's still just in the other side, just
body still crisping. And then you just walk out just casually. It's like, was there multiple explosions that just came from that door behind you? No. Okay, that's what I thought. Nothing bad happened, don't worry. The reason you need to do one of these 2 side missions is you're looking for a key card so you can actually open the garage to drive up to the mountain. Because you can't just take the tram or the local transportation because it's frozen due to the blizzard that's coming through. Apparently it's extra cold, even though the whole planet is ice. It's extra unseasonably cold, and the shit's shut down. Unless you can finesse somebody's garage access key out of them, which is what you do one of these side missions for. After you do that, you can hit the Mako and drive up to the mountain, and then you're going to have to clear out the facility. The facility itself wasn't a bad mission. I feel like it was one of the better ones. It was just kind of clunky because it was just all hallways. You meet up with a security team. They let you into where the scientists are. They tell you that there's, I think this, am I confusing this? Isn't this the mission with the Arachne?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, they let you know that there's like a quarantine lab that, is basically where the matriarch is going. And that's the name of the Saren's ally. She's going there to do whatever she's here to do. We don't have intel on that, but we're here to find her and stop her. We do a couple of stupid side quests if we feel like it, and this is one of the parts that I feel like is the only times where you can actually be a bad person. You have the option to kind of go through the back doors and go the long way into the lab and get into the secured entrance, or get past the secured entrance by going through the side hallways. Otherwise, you can just open the main door, at which point everybody in the facility will turn on you, and you will just have to kill everybody there because nobody will stop being mad at you, and you just have to murder everybody or go back a save. So, yep. I guess you can choose to be a badass evil shepherd and just be like, bam, kicking down your door. All of this lab belonged to me. And then just blast everybody and just go down to the bottom of the lab and then blast everybody some more and then blast some more people. Alternatively, you just take the quiet route and then blast a bunch of people, but not humans.
Yeah. I love how part of the mission is you can do all that work to save everybody in there. Or if you accidentally open the wrong door, everyone just immediately turns aggro on you, and they don't stop. And the only way you can get them to stop is to kill them, basically. Kill
them or save scum. Like, that is the only option. You have to load a save, go back, or you're all dead. You're gonna kill me. It does warn you before you open the door, but it doesn't exactly warn you. It just says something about, like, the security system being online. It's like, okay, that's fine, no worries, I'm okay with that. And then you hit yes, and then the door's shut down, and everybody's pissed because you turn off the security system.
I'm just amazed still, because that happened the first time I did it, because I was kind of wondering where to go. Because if you don't talk to the right people in the right sequence, that stupid security system doesn't shut down. So I was just kind of like, whatever, fuck this. I'm just going to open the door and go. And then everyone just turns aggro on you. And it's like, why are you fine? And I just wiped everyone out. And they're like, well,
now you have 80 renegade points.
Yeah, I guess if everyone's dead, no one can tell anyone that I was bad. The Arachne got them. Yes.
The Arachne picked
when I got here.
The Arachne learned biotics and had an assault rifle.
Yes.
After you finally get down into the main labs, it turns out that they were experimenting on some creatures called the Arachne, which are like bug creatures. They're like 4-legged bug creatures that spit acid. They're kind of unremarkable. They're pretty cool, like, because they're like the only non-sentient alien species that you fight throughout the game, and I don't know, they're pretty cool. They're just kind of pointless overall to the grand thing that's going on in the story. They don't like matter at all. If the Geth weren't currently trying to do whatever they're doing and Saren wasn't flying around in a giant squid spaceship, people probably would be more concerned about the Arachne coming back. But as it turns out right now, all they are is just acid bugs, so it'll be fine. Just let them have some dead planets, blow up the planet when we get some time.
Well, the Arachne have a little bit of a backstory. I mean, they're, I think in some of the dialogue options with Rex, he kind of brings up how the Krogan were basically hired by the Citadel to fight the Arachne years ago, and that's how the Krogan joined the galactic community, basically. So but yeah, the acid spitting can get annoying because you'll have full shields, full health, and then you'll just see your health bar go half, and then you're just mission failed comes up because you're dead. You're like, what?
And they also put you in green mode, which it's not like damage over time, but it's like in other games it would be like hemorrhaging or grievous wound. Basically, the status effect is healing is way less effective on you. So you could use a health pack, which would normally restore like 70% of your HP if you have it leveled up. It would just be like, okay, now we cleaned off the green mode and you got 10% HP. So you better use another health pack real quick. Something else that really sucks about the Arachne, again, it's a 2007 issue. It's a cover-based shooter, and the Arachne do not take cover, and they do not abide by cover rules. They can shoot through walls. It's really, no, their projectiles actually go through corners. Like, it could be a legendary issue, honestly, but I'm not willing to make that assessment. I'm assuming because it's 2007 and there's hitbox issues, these creatures just have the ability to shoot through fucking corners if they're not thick enough with a hitbox. Especially
arc their spit. Yeah.
Sure, and if their head is clipping through the box, they can also just ignore it. So they become quickly the most painful enemy to fight because they just have the ability to ignore your shields. They also can melee you, doing a lot of damage if you actually get close to them. So your best bet is to just take it slow and chip their health down. Make sure you don't get poisoned too much. Watch your health, because you can only restore them a couple of ways. You can always restore them at the Normandy, but enemies will sometimes drop a health pack. Otherwise, there's little containers throughout the mission, and even more rare than that, you can find an NPC that'll give you some. But essentially, once you're out on a mission, you're kind of just out. Makes it really hard at that point. There isn't like a hardcore ultra nightmare mode or whatever where there's like a one save or a no save or anything like that. So it doesn't matter how hard the game gets, you can just quick save and just save scum constantly. Just quick save as long as you're not in combat. If you're in combat, you can't actually quick save, so you have to make sure that you're actually done fighting something. But nonetheless, you finally make it through the Arachne and get down to the core of the lab to find the matriarch, who is trying to experiment on the Arachne Queen to brainwash the Arachne Queen to have a super army, which is exactly what the humans were trying to do, which they didn't realize because they're all stupid and don't know how to talk to alien bugs, that the alien bug lady was not a evil queen. She was one of the only good Arachne queens in the entire universe, and apparently by taking her babies and trying to mind control them, that's exactly what turned them into mindless creatures. She had the ability to sing to them and make them all happy-go-lucky little party guys, and she can't do that because she's being trapped in this little prison cell. So you have the option after you deal with the matriarch to either let the queen go or murderate her. So you do you. You meet up with the matriarch, find out that she's working with Saren because Saren has this power, which is called everybody calls it indoctrination. I wish it had a name, because indoctrination is just like a term.
Yeah.
It's like a very real thing that takes long time to be indoctrinated. You can be indoctrinated into a political party. You could be indoctrinated into religion. You could be indoctrinated into idealized thinking. It takes a long time for that thing to happen. And the game calls the effect that he wields indoctrination. I wish it was called subjugation or something like that, because that's more what it is. He's forcefully mind controlling you to do his will, not convincing you nicely through pointed arguments.
Well, he's got like a ultra charisma stat or something. Like,
Yeah, he's got charisma 99 plus, and eventually he's just gonna roll perfect on all of them and like disarm you. So
yeah.
I guess that's what he does. Even though he's in the one of the scenes, we see him talking to the matriarch. He's kind of an asshole with a short temper and ends up like trying to choke her out and like make her do her job, even though she was already going to do it. Anyway, you meet with the matriarch. She kind of tells you what's going on. She briefly gets freed from the mind control because she's a super powerful mind biotic person. She's an Asari, which they're a pretty cool alien. They're like super smart. They have the ability to like mind meld like Vulcans. They live for a long time, and even though they admitted they are essentially agender, they all refer to themselves as female.
Well,
okay.
They're all female. Like, yeah, I guess it's an entire female race, and they take genetic material.
Yes, the character that's on your team though says in her like backstory dumping that their species doesn't really like know what male and female mean. Like they don't really use those terms because they're all just basically clones of themselves. And that sentence just is a little misleading because they should have just said, well, we don't really use male terms because our entire race is just a clone of one female. See, that makes more sense. You all are all one lady. Sure, okay. They all identify as female, but then she goes to say that she doesn't identify as male or female. So it's that kind of... Wait, hold on. So now you're changing the definition that right-wing people get confused and angry about when you're just like, pick one fucking thing and I'll agree to it, but don't change it mid-sentence.
Well, they also all present as blue hot chicks. Like, all of them. Just...
Okay, I gotta ask you something, since we're talking about the Asari now. Is it an animation bug that was just happening in my game, or are all Asaris, their right eye, if you're looking at them, the left side, their right eye, are all of them just slightly squinty?
That is a fun little bug in about every Mass Effect game, where it's randomized, because sometimes in my game, there'd be the occasional time where Shepard's eyes would like float out just like a quarter of an inch. So he'd have these like almost googly eyes, and he'd just like, and they would just turn, and I would just die laughing when it's in the middle of a serious scene because his eyes are just floating slightly.
That seems like a much more severe animation bug. The only reason I bring it up is because there's three main Asari characters in the game. There's the matriarch's daughter, and the clone, which is all they're referred to as just the general Asari that talks to you. In my playthrough, all three of them, which it would make sense because they're genetic copies, all three of them just constantly had like their eye was just slightly squinty. Sometimes it would not be so squinty, but other times it'd just be like,
yeah,
not closed, not closed, and not like they're twitching or anything. Just like they had one brow furled. Just
I guess it's probably something they're all kind of based probably on the same model, and then if they're all kind of glitching at the same time,
that makes sense.
Really funny.
Moving on though, she frees herself briefly from the mind control. Tells you what's going on with Saren using this power from. The ship itself is actually what gives him his power, which is the big info dump here. Afterwards, she loses control again, and you have to gun her down. So you just murderate her and deal with that bitch. Afterwards, you can free or delete the alien queen, which, I mean, if she's to be trusted, which, I mean, why would the alien lie to you? I mean, I don't know, because she's evil, who knows? I decided to trust the alien and be like, all right, well, you can get out of here. If you can't save these other children, which you just told me you can't, I'm gonna go murder all of them. And any new children you have, you better fucking keep control on, because otherwise, genocide again, okay? I promise.
We've done this before. We'll do it again if we have to.
I'll get the Solarians to make another genetic curse and fuck you guys up.
Yeah. No, what's interesting is you went to Novaria first. In my playthrough, I think I went there second. And if you actually get Liara and bring her with, they have this whole mother-daughter...
I wish I would have, because that would have made more sense.
And they have a big cry hug and everything before she dies. And so I just happened to do that in my playthrough. So I didn't know that you could. What's awesome about the game is that you kind of pick your path.
Yeah, it's linear open choice. There's 3 hallways you can walk down, but you have the ability to pick which hallway you walk down. There's only one entrance to the hallway and one exit to the hallway, but you can choose which one you go down and at what time. That is the choice aspect that Mass Effect does have. The first 3 choices are, which planet do you want to go? Do you want to go to Pharos, Noveria, or the excavation site? So I just picked the first one on the list. The first one they brought up. They brought up Noveria first. Cool. That I had recency bias, except the opposite way. It was the first thing they said, so that's the one I stuck with.
No, what's kind of fun about it is I guess it's a way of saying that the game, you actually get a benefit, like you were saying, for doing the new game plus and playing it multiple times. Because just little things, like if you play certain planets in a certain order, it can kind of not necessarily change it a ton, but it just adds just a little bit of extra flavor to
it would change it on my second playthrough, because what I would have done is I would have gone to the excavation site first, get Liari, the daughter, then I would have gone to Noveria, at which point I would have had enough charisma to do the side mission, because whenever I was doing the Noveria side mission, essentially the one guy offers you his garage key because he doesn't need it because he's about to get off world and he's an ex-employee. He doesn't really care. He has no stakes in it, but he's not just going to give it to you because he can get something out of you. This other girl is also willing to give you her key, but she wants you to help take down her boss. This other guy has intel that will help take down her boss, and if you can convince him to help her, she'll give you her key. So at this point, I didn't have enough charisma or enough good boy points or whatever to tell or convince the guy to help the girl. So I failed that because I couldn't complete it, and he ended up giving me the key. I gave him the data instead of giving her the data, and now she's all pissed because she can't take down her boss, and all of her undercover time was worthless, and now I wasted all her time. In my second playthrough, I would have just corrected that. I would have made sure I had enough points. I would have been like, hey, go fucking help her ass. Well, I'm gonna go get her key, and then I'm gonna leave. Then y'all can go take down this guy together. I don't care, but she was awfully upset that I didn't help her last time.
What's kind of funny is if you actually save getting Liara last, like you do a ton of missions and then get her last, she actually goes slightly crazy because she's been stuck in that like stasis field too long.
Oh, neat.
When you go to talk to her, and she's just like, I've been stuck here for so long, and you free me, that's great, but now you're telling my mom's dead and this other stuff's going on. This is just too much to take in 1 second.
That does make sense. That's kind of how she acted with me because I did pick her last. I went to Pharos next, and then I went to pick her. But since we're talking about her, we'll just cover her now. The excavation site is a Prothean archive that they were digging up, and Liari was one of the lead researchers on it, along with the matriarch, Benezia. But she just basically goes by the matriarch. And she got indoctrinated, went off with Saren, and during the stay in the Prothean ruins, she accidentally kind of got trapped in one of their stasis prison cells. It doesn't put you in stasis like time or cryo or anything like that. It just puts you in like a localized tractor beam, and it just kind of lifts you up off the floor, and you can't really do anything. You're in stasis you're stasis in the term that you can't move, but not stasis in the term of like other sci-fi stuff where there's any cold or time involved. So you meet up with her in the prison cell, you break your way through to the other side, which is actually pretty cool. You fire a mining laser or something, you blow up the floor, revealing that one of the prison cells is open underneath it. You go through it, then you go back up to the other side, and you unlock her. And you tell her what's going on. You tell her you kind of need her to figure out why her mom was helping. That's pretty much all you hire her for. It's like, hey, your mom was helping this bad guy, and I would like to know why. And she's like, okay. And you bring her along. She ends up being a lot more useful than that, because at this point in my story, I'd already dealt with the matriarch, didn't need her. So I was like, okay, well, you're not going to have much use outside of combat because you're a level 50 biotic and you can just blow everybody into the ceiling with your mind powers. So I brought her with basically every combat mission after that just because her stats are busted.
Yeah, she's really good. She's got Singularity, which is one of the best biotic powers. It just opens a little minor black hole and just sucks people and random objects into it, and they just sort of float there for a given amount of time while you can just take pot shots at everybody.
It's a really, really powerful ability. If you don't have it yourself, you got to make sure somebody on your crew does, because ragdolling in Mass Effect 1 is the most useful and critical status effect you can put on an enemy. Every other thing you can do to an enemy in the game is not nearly as effective as ragdolling them, because ragdolling them will not only completely stun them from any movement other than their ragdolling body, they are completely stunned from combat. They can't hurt you anymore. They can't do shit until their ragdoll animation is over and they've completed their recovery animation. So it just puts them into a complete opening, completely vulnerable. At the very end of the game, in the last boss fight, was the only time where my build was not just raffle stomping the boss, because he just has a big shield gauge and he's jumping around a lot, and there's a lot of enemies inside the room to take up your heat gauge of my sniper rifle. So for the most part, I was just slowly chipping away at the boss until I switched tactics and just got out a shotgun and just ragdolled him. I literally beat the boss in like a couple of seconds after I ragdolled him. It trivialized the fight immediately. Now, again, I probably could have just stuck out the fight and had more of an enjoyable fight, but I had to go to work, so I was ready to just kill him.
He deserved it by that point, though. He really did.
Right, absolutely. You recruit Liara, and then if you haven't already, you're going to head off now to Pharos. And I think Pharos is the best of these three planets that you start off. These are the three main missions of the game. I would say this one's definitely the best, even though the mission broke for me, and it became the worst mission.
You have to cleanse that colony.
The part where you have to drive the Mako on the highway, my Mako disappeared. I had to walk the entire hallway, the entire highway there and back, both sections of that mission. I will tell you that despite the fact that I had to fucking walk, it was a pretty good mission. I liked it. There's a lot going on. There was some pretty cool shit and greater implications to the story and the lore and everything else. So you touch down on Pharos, and it's essentially in the middle of a city that is being completely wrecked by the Geth. Previously, the Sovereign ship, which is Saren's big spaghetti ship, came over, wrecked some shit, he left, and now it just has a bunch of Geth motherships just crashing into buildings, stealing people's powers, doing whatever the fuck the Geth are told to do. I guess Saren said, hey, do terrorism, and they said, we got you, boss. And they just walked around and just started fucking things up. There is a lot more going on, though, because the Geth fucking up stuff stopped what the humans were doing. And the humans, turns out they were working on a secret project experimenting on yet another alien species. Except this one turned out to be like a one-of-a-kind. If you're familiar with in real life, there is a big giant fungus on Earth that spans 200 miles. It's like a huge fungus. It has one big cluster, and then it's got root systems that go forever all across. I think it's in Europe. It's super huge. For the purposes of this game, that's essentially what this creature is. It was essentially a big mushroom plant creature thing that was sentient and living for a jillion years and just had roots growing for who the fuck knows.
Yeah.
Who knows how far this creature was growing on Pharos. But as it keeps growing and growing and growing, it's slowly releasing spores that will mind control people and turn them into kind of slaves for the plant. So, unsurprisingly, the humans here on Pharos were doing an experiment to try to weaponize that thing. They said, ooh, okay, let's turn our people into an army of zombies, or the enemy into an army of zombies and have their army fight their own army. I don't know exactly what their plan was, but they decided to try to utilize this creature's psychic or genetic or fungal ability, whatever. They didn't really know how the mind control worked, which is the whole purpose of studying it.
I liked how Exogeny was the company that like discovered the fungus, and then they just let those colonists build a colony on top of it, and they just didn't say anything, and they're just like, we'll just see what happens. It'll be fun. And they just sort of observe them all going slightly mad because they're getting spores in their brains and everything.
Some more than others, because some do like more like low work. Some of them have better ventilation. But yeah, slowly everybody just starts going insane. And that's what the humans were doing. The Exogeny were just studying it. Exogeny is also the company that was under pressure in the first mission we covered on Noveria. Exogeny is the company that you break into for a little bit and steal some intel. They were also fucking around with Arachne, so they're kind of just like the bad guy company, even though they're not specifically doing anything like evil. They're just doing everything that's morally wrong.
It was what's that line from Jurassic Park? They never asked if they should, just if they can.
Yeah, right. They never stopped to ask if you should, only if you could. I feel like we're both butchering it, but either way, that's the gist of it.
Like that.
You need to help out these people that are in this little community or whatever. They're under attack from the Geth, and they send you away from the village to go secure, I believe, a power source from one of the buildings nearby, because their local supplies are getting low. They're running low on power, and along the way you have the ability to free up their water main so they have water again. You essentially can just kind of do all their chores on the way to get this power. You finish talking to them, you hop in your Mako, and you head down the highway, and it's just a boring drive. You fight a couple of Geth people, some people drop in, you gotta kill them with your turret, or you can run them over with the car and just ragdoll the big guys and just shoot them with your cannon repeatedly. Even on the highest difficulty, the Mako combat is non-existent because all enemies can just be run over. So you could just run the enemy over and just shoot them until their health bar is gone. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, most of the foot soldier guys all just immediately die to one rocket shot, and then I kind of found with the Mako, if you have too many of those Geth kind of walking tank guys,
The Colossus.
Yeah, you can use the jump jets to like jump over the rockets they fire, land, and then just keep shooting at them.
Oh yeah, that was my main like combat maneuver, is just straight jump into a landing boost jump, and as soon as the thing would hit the jump again, you just jump in 180 to back and just repeat it, kind of serpentining with boost jumps. Yeah. Like I said, the Mako, not bad at all. It's just everything around the Mako that makes the Mako intolerable in the first game. You get past the first little combat section and you come to a break in the wall where you can hop out of your Mako and go talk to some people that are hiding down in this little thing. They escaped from one of the nearby facilities, and one of them is slowly losing his mind as he's trying to mutiny, and there's a lot going on in this little community thing right now. I believe the daughter or the mother is here at the community, and then once you go to the next place, they want you to help save the other one. And you can pick up the side quest and then get going back out with your Mako if it didn't despawn. If you go back upstairs and your Mako isn't there, just pray to God you have an old save, otherwise you're gonna have to fucking walk.
I still think that's amazing, because that's a couple-minute drive with the Mako. So if you're just hoofing it...
It was like 10 minutes!
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a 10-minute walk.
It was ass. It was not enjoy. And you don't have the OP Mako with bulletproof armor. You have to fight everything manually.
Nice.
So I'm just shooting Colossuses repeatedly with my sniper rifle. At this point, he's just been deleting everybody. I'm just like, poo, 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 overheat, switch to my pistol, pow, 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 boom, 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 overheat, switch, pew, pew, pew. Oh man, it was awful. It got to the point where I was just hoping that I could like ride the wall and just ignore the combat, and it just still didn't work. So I just had to clear everybody along the highway. Finally get to the other building, and the game starts again. So I get into the building, make my way up to it, and you are walking inside this like almost completely destroyed, ruinated building. Who knows if people even live here anymore? People probably didn't live here before this Geth ship just stopped. The Geth ship kind of just goes up to the building and parks next to it and puts its talons inside the building and just injects itself into the building. Its claws start pouring like wires and like kind of melding with the building, engaging with all of its systems, taking it over and also being a parasite to whatever it has. Along the way, you find out that you can remove the ship from the building, so you might as well. You go through the building, you grab what you need, you save the other scientist if you can, and then you blow up the one arm of the Geth ship, and it kind of just falls off of it in a really cool looking cutscene. That's something I do actually really enjoy about this game is, despite it being as old as 2007, it still had some really engaging and interesting cutscenes. I didn't feel like they were, in some other games, the cutscenes are like ran in engine, and because of that, the engine problems can be prevalent, especially if there's animation issues and stuff like that. If it's a pre-rendered cutscene that's just like a couple seconds of a flash film or whatever, or just a MP3 or an MP4 file that just plays on your screen, I feel like that's really good for these old games because you don't need a dynamic cutscene. You just need, okay, I don't have to play the game for a second. They're going to tell me what's going on in the story, and I'm going to be invested after this little, oh, somebody died. Okay, now I have to care. I really enjoy cutscenes, is all I'm saying. And it's nice that Mass Effect, despite it being that old, actually bothered to put in multiple cutscenes. It's not like just the one at the beginning to intro you to the game. There's cutscenes like here on this planet. There's cutscenes whenever you're getting intel. There's mini cutscenes whenever you're interacting with the beacon. There's all sorts of in-game and actually rendered cutscenes that make it feel like it's a AAA game, even though BioWare, by all intents and purposes, wasn't really a AAA studio at this point. They kind of were like EA's big title studio besides DICE, but I wouldn't say they had like billions and billions of dollars of funding. So they were AAA, I guess, at the time, but not what we would compare them to now. If Mass Effect were made today, it would be completely different. It would be shoved full of skins and transactions, and there would be the open world missions would be so much more intolerable because it would be like planet-sized planets and yeah. So despite the fact that it is aged, it is beautifully aged in all of the right aspects, other than the gameplay, but you can't knock that. You can't really. Once you clear this stupid ship off the thing, you're going to head back downstairs and hop into your non-existent Mako and walk back across the bridge. After you do that, you're going to stop at the little hole in the wall and let the people know what ended up going on with that quest, whatever you decided to end it with. At this point, one of the guys is probably going to turn on your people and like go crazy and try to do some bad stuff, and he might convince everybody there to kind of turn on you as well. That's how the dialogue went for me. I did not hit the right options, and everybody tried to kill me, so I was like, okay, it's murder time. I wiped out all of the people that I just saved and shrugged and kept moving.
Oh no.
Before
go back and
I didn't bother. Before I did fail it though, they did give me some handy dandy gas grenades that I could use on the mind control people that we're about to run into. So you get back to the community, and everybody's sport controlled except for a couple people, and you can either blow your way past them, killing them all, but there's a counter on the screen letting you know how many people are still alive, and you're presented with some gas grenades that you can use to instantly incapacitate any of the mind control people. So you have like the good option where you can just take them all out. I did do this part twice because I thought I killed somebody, but I didn't, so I wasted a redo for no reason. What I should have done is hit a save here, went back in time and see if I messed up, and then just went back to that save that I already did. but I wasn't forward thinking on that. After you clear out and help everybody in the village, you are given the location of this creature, and sadly your goal is to just go kill it. Yeah. I don't know if I fucked this up. I really feel like out of all the choices I've been given in this game, this is the one time where I was given no choice, and it's just like, oh, okay, well, you're a creature, time to kill you. I could have, in theory, I could have just left without killing this thing. The last tentacle, I didn't have to blow it up. Like, really, I didn't, except I just physically couldn't leave because it's a video game and I was in a boss fight. So, unfortunately, you meet up with the creature. The creature tells you that it has the ability to present you with the knowledge to decode the beacon that was implanted in your head. And that's what it did to Saren, because Saren said that it would help him, and then Saren didn't help him, and now he's pissed. So he's not going to trust you now because Saren fucked him over. And like I said, maybe I went through the wrong dialogue options, but it definitely seemed like in this situation the game says, kill it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately you kill a one-of-a-kind creature that was being a little taken advantage of, but I mean, whatever. I mean, it had the right to live. It's not like it was maliciously trying to take over people at the beginning. Now it is, because it's pissed off that every time it wakes up, it sucks. Look, all I'm saying is this could have been resolved amicably, and it was the one time where I felt like it was just like, no, just murder it. Like, all right, I'm just gonna kill it. Even at the end of the game, you are given like the fake option of talking out the dialogue. You can like tell the boss to stand down and use your dialogue powers that you built up the whole game, and he'll be like, you know what? That's a good point. And then he'll stand down, and then he'll just fight you anyway. We'll get there. So you finish up on Pharos, you kill this one-of-a-kind creature, and you get off-world, and now you're going to have to go after Saren. He's been pinned down to this facility somewhere that is studying indoctrination. I believe that's the next mission, right? There's not any main story missions after that, right?
No, Vermeer is next one, yep.
Yeah, okay, so you head to this place called Vermeer, which is a research facility in all purposes. That's all it's kind of doing. It researches this, it researches that, it does a little bit of this, and one of it is studying the genetic plague that's on all Krogans that prevents them from being able to reproduce easily. It doesn't put it to 0, but it might as well be close enough that they constantly have to be trying and doing in vitro fertilization and doing like shit to combat this genetic plague on them. Then, unfortunately, none of the Krogans are good enough scientists to create an anti-cure or to create an antidote for it or a cure for it, and that sucks. Turns out there might be a cure, though. Saren is allegedly working with the people at this facility to create a cure for the Genoplague, so then he can create his own army of unstoppable Krogans, because they're super good warriors and really hard to kill, that he can use on top of his robot army to have a double army. And Rex is obviously intrigued about this and is like, hey, can we get this cure, and like, can I have the cure for my people? And why the fuck not? Yeah, let's give you the cure. Unfortunately, again, either unless I played the game wrong or the game is just narrow writing, It gets to the point where you either have to dialogue your way through a stand down, kill Rex, or have to let Rex kill some other people. That seems to be the 3 fucking options. It doesn't seem like there's a peaceful resolution here, actually. Because the real peaceful resolution would be, stand down, Rex. It's okay. Nobody has to die right here. We're your friends. If we have the option, we will go into the facility, we will steal the research, and we will take all the data, and then we can keep on this project in the next game and maybe find a cure for your people. Instead, Shepard doesn't even mention that, and when you get into the room where you can do that I just brought up, instead of doing that, you just kill everybody in the fucking room and just walk right through it. So I guess Shepard really doesn't care about the genophage, because you really 100% had the option to do something about it, and again, unless I did it wrong, it doesn't seem like you really had the option.
No, you either charisma your way and talk him down, or he goes nuts and either tries to kill you or goes on a rampage. So it obviously the best option is to, talk him down, because otherwise you lose your friend. And yeah, this thing though is if you don't do his side quest and get his family armor, he will just auto, like, you don't even have the option to talk him down. He's just pissed and will kill. Well, try to anyways. But no,
I'm glad I did, because I thought this was the final mission, because there's only 3 main missions in the game at this point. There's Pharaoh's, Novaria, and the excavation site. There are tons of planets in the solar system that you can go and explore. Some of them you can land on, but you can go all throughout the solar system and do a bunch of bullshit side missions. And I had spent probably like 30 hours before I went to Vermeer. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this has got to be the end of the game. I've explored like every planet in the entire fucking solar system. I've done everything. And I'm like, okay, so this is my chance. I gotta go talk to my crew and see what they want me to do. So I did one quest for Garrus, and then I did one quest for Rex, where I go and find his family armor. I was like, okay, cool. Tali didn't want anything to do with me at that point, because I either already did her quest or wasn't quested enough with her. But she's just like, all right, well, I like your engines. I'm like, yeah, I know. And then went to go talk to Ashley. She didn't really have anything. And then I talked to Caden, at which point he's like, hey, I kind of like you. You're kind of hot. You want to like make out and shit? And we're like, all right, cool. And then we got called to the mission, so we couldn't. Anyway, we land on the planet, and you bring your whole crew this time, even though you select your two people. You go through some car parts, you run some geth over, then you get to this base where there's the Solarian general who's got his like spec ops team ready to go and storm the facility with you. Except he lost a bunch of his men, and now he can no longer do a frontal assault and has to do a kind of like a covert op. He's going to be the bait, you're going to be the strike team, and you're going to be the team that's infiltrated from the side and do the objective while they risk their lives on the front line. During this is when Rex decides to be pissed off because he finds about the genophage possibility cure. And as Birch mentioned, either you filled the prerequisites to talk him down, or you're going to lose one of your crew here.
Yep.
Whoops.
That's your options.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm glad I played as much as I did, because if I didn't go bother to hang out with Rex and do some missions with him, I probably wouldn't have been able to talk him down. And it's funny because just before this mission, I was checking the achievements to see kind of like how many achievements were left for like the game. Be like, so how much longer is this game? This has got to be the last mission. And I hadn't got the achievement talk your way out of an impossible situation yet. And I'm like, okay, so that's got to be like the end of the game. Cool. So it hasn't happened yet. It's about, and then I talked to Rex, and then boop, the achievement popped, and I was like, fuck, how much longer is this game? So, it's not too much longer, but there is, depending, again, on how fast you play and whether you just do only story missions, there's another section of free exploring and going on the Normandy and doing bullshit before you go do the last mission on the Citadel. But now you are tasked by the Solarian commander to do the strike team move and get into the base while he covers you. But the caveat is he needs somebody to stay behind and help him, because anyway, you choose one of your crew members to stay behind and they will be helping him and his crew on comms throughout the mission. You can hear them back and forth. You can hear, for me, I left Ashley to help them because I'd never brought Ashley with a mission. Why start? I left Ashley with them, and she's fighting on off screen with them, doing some missions. She takes down one of the towers and whatever. She's doing her thing. And I'm going through the facility. The first place you go to is kind of like a security station that this lady is guarding that works for Saren in the lab, but doesn't really want to. She'd like to quit really bad if she could. And you give her that option. So she takes it if you let her. And she quits and then lets you into the lab behind her, which is a monitoring station for the spaceship that Saren has called the Sovereign. So you go in there and you find out the diagnostics of the Sovereign, and during that, you find out there's another mini beacon in there, in which case the whole room kind of changes shift, and you get stuck in a dialogue tree in which the hologram of the Sovereign starts talking to you, revealing that Sovereign is its name and not the name of the ship, and it's not a ship. It's a sentient machine. The sentient machine is called the Reaper, which are the overarching enemies of the story. They are a precursor race of spacefaring super robots that are in a cycle of extermination. They build up civilizations and then they kill them for fun, or for further reasons that they haven't told us yet in the story. You kind of talk to Sovereign, and Sovereign says, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna kill you. There's literally nothing you can do. I don't care if you care. I'm gonna come kill you in a little bit. Just letting you know. Why am I telling you? Just to make you feel fear, because it's funny to me, I guess." So you put together that the Reapers are coming back, and there's more than likely not just this one. There's probably a ton of them, and you have no idea how big of a threat they are, other than this single one has already been a huge fucking pain in the ass. So we're going to try to stop more of them from coming. You get access to the rest of the facility, and you go down to the breeding center where they're doing all the Krogan stuff, and you just blast through this part of the facility. There are some like prisoners and stuff who are being studied or being indoctrinated to study the effects of it and figure out if there's a way to counter it, because Saren is doing all this research because he's worried that Sovereign, the Reaper, is going to indoctrinate him and mind control him. He already is. That's why he's like this.
Yeah.
That's his whole deal. He's already been mind controlled this entire time, you idiot.
He thinks it's a classic, he thinks he's using Sovereign for his own ends, but no, Sovereign's just been using him the whole time.
Yeah, he wants to be the, like, one organic that Sovereign needs, so if he's super useful, Sovereign won't delete him with the rest of the universe. Yep, because you're that important, buddy. Yep. So, you blast through the facility, you let some prisoners go, or kill them, or leave them there. It's another one of those choices where you just... What Shepherd are you? Or do you care? Are you like that's not my problem, I'm not going to interact with it? Or do you solve problems when they come up? I guess you try to solve them when you come up, or at least I do. I let all the prisoners free, even the one that was probably questionable and was going to turn on me, and then did turn on me, and then I killed him in one hit because he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, the one.
Yeah, there's one Solarian who's in a cell, and he's obviously super nuts, and your crew even warns you, hey, the other guys are crazy, but this guy's, like, ultra crazy, so, like, let's not let him out. And I'm like, I'm gonna let him out. It's fine. What's the worst that's gonna happen? What's the worst that's gonna happen? Apparently, the worst that's gonna happen is whoever's running this facility left this guy with his pistol, and then he reaches into his pistol to do the pull-out pistol animation, and I was just like, okay, pulled out my sniper, waited for his health bar to spawn, because he has immunity to damage until he actually has a health bar. So I just waited. So he actually pulled the gun, and it spawned in his hand. He gets his health bar, I'm like, okay, well, you didn't have to pull that gun. You could have, like, ran away and then stalked me and tried to kill. There's a lot of ways you could have pulled that gun on me, except for right in front of me with a sniper rifle pointed at your head. Just saying.
I did similar just with the biotics. It's just like, oh, he's doing something, and force throw, and he's up and over the wall and gone.
Yeah.
Flying.
The outside areas are great because you can just be like, oh, they're off terrain, they're off the mini map. They've taken infinite fall damage because they fell into a pit.
Yep. They fell through the floor. No,
After you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I really did like that whole sequence on Virmire. Just
me too.
It's, you got part of the Mako, and then you blow up a bunch of stuff there. Then you've got a lot of foot battles to go through, and then the added part of Sovereign not just being a ship, and Sovereign's the one indoctrinating. It kind of, I don't know, opens up the plot in a way, because it's now more than just a basic a
guy with ego and power. Yeah, no, yeah. Before it was just like, number one baddie guy. He was a rogue agent, and now he's seeking power for ultimate power. Nope, it's a little bit bigger than that. He is doing that, but he's doing that for a reason that's way bigger than him.
Plus, if you think about way back at the beginning of the game, they kind of really do a good job foreshadowing that, because like those on Eden Prime, if you talk to some of the colonists, they'll even mention like, yeah, there's a weird radio signal or like a warning call, and
it emits some sort of sound or some sort of noise.
Yeah.
The guy behind the guy behind the boxes that witnessed Nihilus get killed, he says that it sounded like something was whispering to him.
Yeah. And you're thinking, oh, and when I first played it, I was thinking, that's really strange, especially because there's these two survivors that are in like a little apartment or whatever, box cube, and he's going a little crazy, and I chose the option of, this will shut you up, and just sort of punches him.
That's the first thing I did too. I was just like, oh, okay, I just have the option to pistol whip him, knock him out. The woman's like, what the hell? It's like, yeah, it'll be fine.
He'll be fine. He's endangered himself. This is better this way. But then after you get to Vermeer and you see all the people in the cells going crazy, you're thinking, oh, that's what happened to that guy on Eden Prime. They really, I think,
the very, very, very first stages of it, yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job of foreshadowing that all the way through. When you look,
I haven't thought about that, but yeah, you're right. I feel like I thought about it at the time, but I haven't thought about it in this analysis. But yeah, they do really kind of set that up from the beginning.
So I just thought that was a good. It just kind of brought the whole thing together for me, anyways. But
I agree. I think that was a good point. Thanks for bringing it up. Moving on from the prison cells, you head to the actual facility where they're studying the cure for the genophage, and there is sort of a scientist guy in there that immediately opens combat at you, as far as my playthrough went, and I kill the people in the room, and there's nothing to interact with. I can't steal any research, I can't talk to one of the people I shot, nothing. You just walk right through the facility, and Rex doesn't even say anything. So, I guess we're done with that plot line.
Well, I think they mentioned, if I remember right, they mentioned something that it's not like a true cure, but it like allows them to clone each other or something, so it's not like a true fix for their race.
Yeah, but wouldn't getting that research be a step other than, hey, you still have no cure information at all?
No, I don't know. Maybe everyone's still just afraid. They're like, well, we don't really want too many Krogan around. I mean, you're cool.
That's not our place to say. We don't get to play God, okay? Just because we're super powerful and we have a space civilization doesn't mean we get to choose what other civilizations do, unless they're mind-controlling bugs or giant plant things, and then we can kill them for whatever reason.
Well, the Solarians already made that choice for them.
Right, they said, oh, we went to battle with them. We just said, okay, well, we can't beat them head-on, so we'll stop the rest of them from coming.
Yeah.
There'll be no more of them to fight, that's for sure.
Or very few. I think when you talk to Rex, it was something like
1 in 1,000.
Yeah,
or something.
1 in 1,000 births come to term or whatever. So I could imagine that, but no,
yeah, that's a lot of emotional turmoil.
Oh, and then go ahead. Sorry.
Now you are finally at the core of the facility where you're going to blow it up. So your pilot brings in the tactical nuke, and your whoever you didn't send with the Solarian team, they'll be dropped off as well to secure the bomb with you. And then you can fight off some people while they do the bomb. And while the bomb's being set up, you are sent on another quick mission. I think Saren is spotted, so you have to go chase him. I don't exactly remember what you're called away for, do you?
I think you're supposed to go help the other one. So if you send Ashley or Caden, they're under heavy fire, so you're kind of rushing.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. So you're with Team 1 defending the bomb, and Team 2 calls you to come defend, to help take out this last tower, which has like anti-air guns or something. I don't know, it has something important to do with the defenses of the facility. And Ashley isn't able to, if she's the one you sent, obviously. Whoever you left with the Solarians, that member is not able to complete the last bit of their job, so you have to go and do backup. So you're sent immediately without question. You just immediately start running and you go there. You fight along a couple of groups of enemies, and now you're like about halfway to the distance of your other team member. Team 2 calls over the comms, lets you know that they're still pinned down, but they're doing okay right now. And Team 1 lets you know that Saren just showed up, and he's coming to take out the bomb, because he knows that if you let the bomb go off, this facility's going to go. So obviously he has to step in and put his personal strike force to take out this bomb. You tell Team 1 to just get out of there, and Team 1 says, no, it's fine. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to arm this bomb, and if I die while arming the bomb, at least the bomb's armed. If I leave, the bomb can't get armed. There's only one choice here. So Team 1 stays to arm the bomb, and Team 2 is dying to take out their tower. So you have the choice to save one of them. You have the option to immediately get picked up and go to Team 2 to help them out, or Team 1 to secure the bomb, even though the bomb is... Let me restart that. You are now given your actual choice to go save Team 2, who needs help taking out the tower, or Team 1, who has set up the bomb and it is armed, but they have the possibility of it being disarmed if they don't fully defend it. Yep. So, in my mind, no matter what, you really only have one choice. You should have made your choice before this one, which isn't the actual choice. You should have done a little bit of research, which I had to, because I wasn't about to just let a character I wanted to live die by picking the wrong choice. So I looked up, hey, what does this first choice do? And they say, nothing, really. The only thing this choice does is tell you which member is on Team 1 and which member is on Team 2. Then you have to pick which team member to save, depending on which one is on which of those teams. At that point, it is actually a choice. But due to the story situation, it's not really a choice. The tower that has to go down isn't as important as making sure the bomb is secured and can detonate once you get out of the facility. Wiping out the facility is the whole reason you're here. It is not an option of failure. Even if you sent the crew member that you want to save, even if you sent your love interest, if you are a good shepherd, if you're a good soldier, your only logical choice is to stay behind, sacrifice the other team member, and secure the bomb. That's what you're here for. So, I made that choice because I already knew I was going to make that choice. I went to go save Team 1 because I had to secure the bomb. At which point I meet back up with Caden Alenko, and I get into my first little boss fight with Saren, which he's sliding around on a, Green Goblin little glider, and he's shooting shit, and he's doing power moves, and he's calling in guest snipers, who are the only thing in this boss fight that do any damage. Even Saren doesn't do damage. It's literally only his snipers.
Saren's got that dampening power, which auto overheats all your abilities in your weapon, which is annoying.
That is the only thing that prevented me from just squashing him in this fight. I didn't know that was what he was doing. I would fire... The way I had my sniper build, I could either consecutively fire 3 bullets before it overheated. I could just 1, 2, 3 and it'd overheat. Or I could just pace my shots for infinite shots. And I could shoot 2 right away and then just always pace the third shot over and over and over for infinite heat gauge. So at this point, I'm only using the sniper, and I know my pacing of my sniper. So I shoot 1, I shoot 2, and I'm waiting, I'm waiting to get my third shot in, and then I click. Why the fuck is my gun overheated? And then I switch to my pistol because I don't have time to think about it. So I just switch to my pistol, shoot for a little bit, switch back to my sniper rifle. It should be cooled down. It's still jammed. I'm like, oh shit, fuck. I have to use a different strategy here. Whatever he's doing, I have to not get hit by that, because if he jams my sniper rifle, I don't have damage. It wasn't until after this mission that I made my shotgun worth using, because I didn't want to be put in this situation again. If there was another fight with another boss, which of course there was, if there was another fight with another boss, I'm gonna need another option, because if my gun gets jammed, I can't have my entire source of damage just be on cooldown. My pistol was built to the way it had infinite heat gauge, unless it was dampened with one of those abilities. In which case, if it get hit by it, would only bring it up to 80. It wouldn't fully overheat it. It had such good heat mitigation and mods on it that it cooled down exactly as fast as it shot. So it had infinite bullets. You never had to stop shooting it. So it was at least another option that I could just pull out my infinity pistol and just blast everybody until their health bar was gone. But I didn't feel like that was fun. It was great to have that sidearm as an option whenever I was panicking, but I chose not to really use it because otherwise I could have just only used the pistol instead of the sniper rifle moving forward and just... Okay, he's dead. Okay, he's dead. He's dead. Alright. It would have just been the same game, but just taking a couple seconds longer.
Yeah. On my character, the Vanguard, it has a cooldown reset. And so I was able to cheese through the dampening because he throws that dampen out there and you're like, everything's fried. Wait, bring up my... Because on the PlayStation, you hold R1, it brings up your power wheel. And you're like, ability reset. Everything gets off cooldown, and then you just proceed with the fight.
Oh, you have an ability to reset your cooldowns?
Yeah.
Oh, neat. Okay. That's because you're whatever your class was. That makes sense.
Yep.
I didn't end up like using almost any of my powers except for immunity and shield. Anytime my sniper was on cooldown, I would just throw my other tech powers out at things, and I'd be like, if it does damage, it does damage. If it does something, it does something. Otherwise, I'm just gonna switch to my sniper rifle in a couple seconds and kill everybody.
Well, the good thing I was gonna say about since about, I swear it's like 60, at least 60% of the bad guys in this game are Geth, and they're all machines. So the
mod against synthetics,
right? Like the electronics ability that blows up synthetics. I think it's the Infiltrator, Engineer, and the Sentinel that all have that. So they always have a target for that pretty much throughout the whole game. Like there's very rarely where you don't have a target for that ability.
I wish I would have had the AI hack ability. That would have actually been useful to my character, but I wasn't one of the trees with that ability. The only one on my team had it was Tali. So I always had her with me, but if that move was off cooldown, I don't even know if I ever saw it get used because I don't know what it did. Like, if she hacks an enemy and they're still able to take friendly fire damage, I'm gonna blow their head off even if she controlled them.
It's kind of fun just because if you play around with it some, like if you're doing a little slower pace, you just use Tally, and then you'll just literally see a Geth. They're like two Geth are sitting here shooting at you, and then you hack one and he just sort of turns and just attacks the guy next to him. And then you kind of put him out of his misery.
What happens if a crew member dies in combat?
Oh, you've got your
okay, if you don't use that ability, what happens?
They stay down until combat's over, then they kind of pop up with
okay. So there's not like they can't die on mission.
No.
Oh, okay, because I think they only went down like a couple of times in the game, and I would just instantly hit that button, so it was never an issue. But like the first time it happened, I was like, "Oh shit! Well, what if this game has like permanent deaths, like Fire Emblem, and that character's just dead now forever?"
No, it's what was the? I know it's this. It's on the Spectre chain. What's it called? The res ability. I only ever put points in
Unity.
the first one. Unity, yeah. I only really ever put points in it to get to the first one, just because even if you put all 12 points in it, it's still...
all it does is just give them more health. All you have to do is hit the res button and then hit your heal button. If they have the ability to res their own shields, you can do all of that from the the powers menu. You can just like slow time to a crawl and then tell that guy heal himself, tell that guy heal himself. Let me hit my res button, and as soon as everybody's up, just use 2 health packs.
Yep.
So I never felt like combat was like too stressful, like I was gonna lose a combat scenario unless I just died. I never felt like it was like I was making wrong decisions or anything like that, which is something I can attest to. The actual good gameplay design. Once you're running around and fighting enemies, even though there's not a lot of variety to combat, there are so many options that you can make combat as varied as you want it. You can choose to use no powers and just run up to everybody in the game and just punch them and shotgun them. That's what you could choose to do. You could choose to run with the biotic team and just lift everybody up into the sky and just ragdoll everybody the whole game. There's a lot of options to trivialize combat or make it harder for yourself. So, and I never felt like combat got boring, even though I've said multiple times, I felt like it was just like a headshot clicking simulator. It wasn't like a bore. It wasn't like, oh, I have to get through another combat. Oh, I have to kill this guy. Okay. No, it never felt that way. It never felt like it was a drag. Combat was a nice breakup of the story parts where you're walking around talking, and it was a really nice break from the driving around the Mako. I was excited to get into buildings because I was like, I don't have to drive this fucking car anymore.
It definitely, with the first Mass Effect game, you could almost say the main focus was probably on like the story and other things, and they kind of put a combat. I swear it feels like it was an RPG first, and then they try to sort of add shooter things to it, not a shooter that they added a story and stuff to.
Like the gunplay and all that stuff seems kind of like secondary. The story is definitely what they had. Somebody wrote the story and was like, hey, can we put a game on this, please?
Yeah, which is good. I appreciate it. It especially because when I was playing with my Vanguard, because he had both a shield regen and the barrier, which is just a second shield. You really didn't even need to use much of the cover necessarily.
No.
Because you could just shield up so much and just start walking through and ragdolling everybody, like you say. I bet if I played as a soldier, because they get immunity and just extra armor, you could probably just walk through and just start...
Act like a Krogan and just sprint at people?
Yeah. So...
That really broke up my combat style, watching a Krogan sprint at me and my sniper not hurt them anymore. It's like, made me really rethink my positions.
And I will say, I did like that there are so many abilities and each class has a number of different combat options. It's just, like you were saying, it's unfortunate that some of them just, they're good for what they do, but the situations don't always come up. Like Kaden has that neural shock where it almost like poisons organics. It's just, like over half your enemies are Geth. So if he does come against an organic, he can take Krogan down real easy with that thing. It's just, you only fight so many of them throughout the game. It's just, the Geth are just everywhere. So it's a good ability. It's a very narrow ability, though. So, and that's why I thought biotics themselves were a little overpowered, because they didn't have that narrow scope to them. Just everything could be pretty much thrown or lifted.
Yeah, nothing's immune to physical force, yeah.
Yeah. So it just, unless you were a Geth Colossus just because you were too big. But...
Yeah, but generally if you're fighting a Colossus, you have the Mako available, so it's never really an issue. Except for, I think, on the very last mission when you're on the Citadel. I think there's a couple of Colossus on there, but that's it.
Yeah, that's endgame, and you're walking around like a god anyways at that point.
After this, you're going to finish up the fight with Saren. You put some bullets into him, you knock him off your glider, you get a mini cutscene where he says some shit, and he escapes, because, of course he does. Not before he tells you that he's going after the Conduit, which hasn't been mentioned or brought up until now, and it's just suddenly like, hey, look at this new plot device. Pay attention to it. We don't get any information what the Conduit is, or really anything about it. We quickly find out where it is, and we head off to another part of the galaxy that has, it's essentially like a Prothean, morgue, basically. Yeah. It's not a burial site because it wasn't intended to be. It was essentially like a mass ark that the Protheans built as a security method to not get exterminated, and they put themselves in cryosleep, and it worked. The problem is, it worked too good, and they were the only things in the entire universe left alive, and they lived for so long that all their power ran out. And the guy in charge of the facility slowly was like, I gotta keep somebody alive. I can't let everybody die simultaneously. So we started like making choices and slowly killing off different people that were living in this cryo colony of just sleeping thousands of bodies, and just slowly started killing one after another to save another one, to save another one, to save another one, until there was only a couple people left, and then it still took so long that even now they're dead.
It was a fun twist on the Fallout shelters.
Yeah, your shelter worked. There was just no after it.
No, it's like we survived. We survived. What is it? The reaping. Oh crap! We're the only things left alive in the universe that we know of, and we're just by ourselves for the next 20,000 years. Eventually, stuff just runs out.
Yeah, we didn't build infinite power. Sorry, we were being hunted to extermination. We had some other things going on. We forgot about an infinite power generator. Okay, my bad. So yeah, you get to this planet, you go to this facility, and you're going through it, and you get access to it because I guess it's time for you to get access to it. The kind of hand-wavy explanation is it revealed itself now at this point because it's time for it to be revealed. And it's all part of the plans that the Protheans had in action, and this is the last failsafe for the AI that is in charge of the facility. And it's important to distinct it that throughout the game, AIs are called VIs, which are virtual intelligences, and this one at the end is more closely categorized to an AI as it's completely different than the other systems that you've run into throughout the game. So it's more of an amalgamation of computer processes and stuff instead of being like a humanoid cyborg hologram. Just a weird distinction I think the game makes, but doesn't make a point to make a point of.
Well, it's like an AI could hit singularity and become a Geth or something, but virtual is just like a really good wiki page that just has all the combined knowledge. Exactly.
So. I know that difference, and I think it's just weird that the game doesn't like be like, hey, this AI is kind of a big deal. That like it just glosses over it, even though it is a big deal. They just like, we might bring it up later. Just notice that it's a different thing.
Yep.
The guy gives you information letting you know that Saren is here to access the conduit, and this is where the conduit is. At which point you finally learn out what the conduit is. You've been hearing about it, and it turns out that the conduit is a micro mass relay that if you get close to it, it will do exactly what the other mass relays do. It'll shoot you to a location. This one is particularly a direct backdoor to the Citadel.
Yep.
The Protheans found out, we don't know exactly when, but it was longer than 50,000 years ago. Longer than 50,000 years ago, the Protheans found out that, the Citadel that they found, we thought they created it. Turns out they didn't. The Citadel that they found was created by a race of supercomputers that wants to kill them. And they found out in the files of the Citadel that it's this loop that happens just over and over and over, and who knows how many times it's happened, because it doesn't matter how many times it happened. Time doesn't matter to these creatures. The Citadel is populated by some creatures called the Keepers, which are just like a docile, four-legged creature that just kind of stands there interacting with computers. It's essentially a bio interface for the Citadel. Humans and other species can interact with the Keeper, and the Keeper can interact with the Citadel more directly, doing certain options, like, I don't know, giving you a house upgrade. I don't know what the fuck they do. They just monitor and upkeep the Citadel, and nobody really knows what they do, because anytime anyone tries to research them, they just kill themselves.
Yeah, they just explode anytime you interact with them. So it's like Citadel law, just let the Keepers do their thing. And I think they're like the repair crew. Like they're just, it's like genetic.
They're like antibodies. Yeah.
Yeah, they just fix the Citadel all around, because there'll be different people who will talk about how they tried to rearrange their office, and then throughout the night the Keepers came and rearranged it back to what it was. Like they're the little what are those, like little gnomes or whatever from fairy tales that would come in and mess with stuff.
And there's no telling how many they are, or how many there are, or where they come from, or anything like that. They've been on the Citadel longer than any other species, and for all we know, are native to the Citadel. If not, they were the first species to be on the Citadel. It's theorized that they are just a like an organic homunculus at this point. They're just been bioprogrammed for so many millions of years that they don't have any sentience or soul or anything going on. They just perform organic functions based on radio signals.
Yeah, they don't have a soul. They want to be slaves to the Citadel.
They can't even conceive of being a slave. That's what they are. Yeah, it's a kind of a mundane existence for them, and that's why everybody just kind of ignores it. It's just like, well, they're not doing anything bad, and they seemingly are only doing good. So I'll just hopefully don't make them explode themselves.
Yeah, if they get too afraid or you talk to them too much, they explode. So just avoid them, and so we don't have to clean that up.
This is another big plot point that is revealed, that not only is there a backdoor to the Citadel itself is itself a mass relay. Except it isn't clearly explained, but it is sort of the only one that is a two-way relay. It more or less opens a hole that things can come into instead of you go through the hole. The whole purpose of the Citadel is to act as a door to open the outside of the universe for the Reapers to come in from wherever they're hiding. It's not exactly specified whether they're outside the galaxy, outside the known universe, if they're outside of space-time. I'm sure it'll be revealed later on, but in the first game, they're just kind of hiding out there in dark space, whatever that means. Yep. The Citadel is to open it up and let the Reapers in mass, who knows how many there are, like I said, one's a problem. They are going to come back and do their extermination cycle. The Protheans had many plans in effect to kind of stop this, and it turns out more of them worked than they planned on. They put a lot of plans forward to hopefully solve the situation, and some of them worked, and they didn't even really expect it to. Two of them that worked is, like I said, the bunker totally worked. It was completely secret, nobody knew about it, and everybody died in it because nobody knew that it existed to come unlock it. And second of all is they created a sort of virus that stops the Citadel from opening. The Reaper Sovereign is supposed to come and do his little recon thingy, and when the time is right, he's supposed to send the signal to the Citadel he's supposed to send the signal to the Keepers, who will then interact with the Citadel and unleash its secret code, which will turn the whole thing into a portal. The Protheans put in essentially a Trojan virus that fucks up that line of programming, and now the Keepers are just inert. They don't do anything. They do their job in the Citadel, but they don't do that job. They will no longer have the ability to open up the mass relay through that line of communication. That was one of the Protheans' plans. Like, just stop that thing from opening up, and hopefully we can stop the final step. We have to figure out how to get to all the other steps, but at least we can stop the door from opening. We'll put a fucking jam on it for a little bit. So you having all this information now are on a race to get to the Citadel to stop Saren from getting around the Trojan and opening the Citadel anyway. Sovereign has, just like the Protheans, several plans in place. He has the Geth, who can do his job. He has his Krogan army, which Saren hired for him, which are being indoctrinated to him permanently. He's got Saren himself, which had a carte blanche to do whatever he wants legally. Yep. And he has tons of... he has access to computers, because he's a fucking computer, so he can monitor radios, and he can interact with computer systems pretty easily. So even if one plan didn't work, Sovereign was like, okay, well, I'll just send my secret agent there and open up the back door, and then it'll be fine. So you go to stop Saren on the Citadel, and you get there in time to see it's kind of a wreck. The Geth have been attacking it. There's a bunch of space battles happening out there. You've got Alliance fleets and Citadel fleets. Whoever's the Citadel... Is the Alliance just the humans, or is the Alliance the humans plus?
No, the Alliance is just the humans. And
so what is the Citadel community called?
I honestly can't remember.
Okay, so the lads are out there fighting the Reaper, and his army of Geth.
Well, it's like the Citadel themselves. It's like their own alliance of Turian, Solarian, and the blue chicks whose name's escaping me right now. What their race is called?
The Asaris.
Yeah, the Asaris, and some of the lesser ones, but
like
no,
the
they have their
the mole people.
yeah, the Volos and the slow talking floating brain guys. And then they've got their giant flagship that gets wrecked because Sovereign, he comes in himself and they're just throwing every ship they can at him. He's just destroying them left and right.
He is not only a super powerful sentient machine, but he is also a giant fucking ship with tentacles on it. So like, it's so big that it massively outclasses everything else that's out fighting there. If Sovereign had wanted to and wasn't distracted by his mission, he could have just crashed straight into the council ship and killed that thing in one hit because he's bigger than that thing.
Yep.
So during his approach to the Citadel, he just crashes through some ships. He just straight up rams them because he's made out of hard enough metal. It's not going to do any damage. He just right through some ships. The Citadel starts to close as one of the last methods of defense. The Citadel is kind of like a flower, kind of like open like a cup. It's like a flower that's opened in the shape of a cup, and they're trying to close the cup all the way up. And when they do that, then you can no longer get in there, ideally. But Sovereign is huge, and he's fucking fast. So he immediately, as soon as he realizes that's happening, he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to fly in there, no worries. And of course, he makes it in time because bad guys. Yeah, bad guy. The story's not over. That's why he made it. So he gets into the Citadel and he presumably plugs himself into the tip of where the Citadel would be shooting out its beam laser sort of thingy, and starts to interact with the Citadel. He calls in for some backup and. Right before this happens, we are given a vital choice to either attack now or hold back and wait until we have the chance to attack Sovereign, because now he's kind of in the Citadel. He's kind of protected from the ships outside of the Citadel, and only the ships inside can interact with him still, so it's no point in dividing our fleet, kind of just hold off and just wait for a little bit. Or attack now and risk it so that we can provide a distraction so the council can get off of the station. I didn't think this, again, was a real choice. If it's presented to you as a choice where it's gonna matter, but as Shepard, as the soldier that I've been trained to be the whole game, I only have one mission. It's save the Citadel, save the people, the lads, everyone in the Citadel team. Killing 3 council members and whoever's on their ship is small potatoes compared to the rest of the galactic civilization. My boss just got killed, and that might be inconvenient for work for the next couple weeks, but like, other than that, really, where's the bad choice in that one? Letting the council die.
Plus, during the whole game, they kept not believing you.
Well, okay, I didn't want to be bitter, but you're all right.
like at the start of the game, you're like, no, seriously, Saren's a bad guy. Nah, he's fine. Okay, maybe you're right about this, but you're totally wrong that there's anything else. Okay, so there were Rachni and matriarchs over here and a giant fungal plant monster. But really, is everything that bad? It's just, they just don't.
Right, anytime you prevent them of the situation, they're like, yeah, but you're just making this up so you like seem cool, right? Like,
yeah.
Yep. I'm just making shit up. I'll tell you what. Whenever a giant squid ship comes and crashes into your ship, don't say anything to me.
I just love the reaction. Like, you do that, each of the main missions, you have like a post-mission debriefing, and they're just sort of like, oh, sure, you just magically found the extinct alive now Rachni that were terrorizing. Oh, and you handled them and took them down. You're like, yeah. They're like, oh, sure, okay, we believe you. Just none of them ever believe you the whole time. And then I always went full Paragon, so it's like, yeah, I made the effort to save them just to show that I was better than them. Kind of a
Isn't saving them, though, like, tactically the wrong choice, though? Okay, so let me just ask you, what happens when you save them? What is the immediate effect?
Uh,
I assume there's a
more-
cutscene.
Yeah, there's more a lot. The main difference, like endgame, is you save the Citadel, and then but if you let them go and save everyone else, since the leaders are gone, the humans supplant them and then become the dominant species.
Is that what happens? Is the humans just become the whole council?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't want racism. Damn it. Oh well, I guess I'll have to kill the next council.
Well, see, that's the thing too. Like when you brought up with Ashley, I think it's because since you can't romance her as a femshep, as a guy shep, you talk with her and you kind of romance her. She is a very like God-fearing, humans first person, and it's like,
Man, that made her
go
way
down-
unhot.
Well, and then she like she even questions you, and you can choose like, oh yeah, I believe, or I don't, or whatever. And you can as you romance her and get to know her better, you actually like soft her edges, and she sort of accepts the rest of the crew, and that the fact that, you know, maybe the aliens, you know, aren't constantly trying to steal data or everything. But what's also kind of funny too-
okay. So creatures that are different than me aren't necessarily bad. Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Well, what's also interesting too is the romance. When you're the guy shepherd, you only have two options: Ashley or Liara. And I swear the game like pushes you to Liara. Like if you just pick the default options as guy shep, you just immediately like, yeah, I'm gonna bang that. So you kind of have to like
Avoid it.
You have to somewhat pick that you want to romance Ashley. But
You can't
kind of funny,
romance Tolly.
no, not in the first game.
Lame.
And what's kind of funny about that is if you kind of talk with them both, there's a point where in the romance like dialogue trees where you kind of have to like make a decision or tell the character a decision, because you'll go to talk to Ashley once, she's like, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking to your little blue friend. You've been getting real chummy with her. Are you sure she's not using her Asari mind control on you? And
Okay, let me just ask you, Ashley, if you would have said that line but replaced it with a different color on your own planet, would that have flown? I don't think so. You can't just be like, oh, I see you hanging out with that black bitch over there.
yeah.
Calm down.
Well, she also pokes fun at you too, because Liara, she is 150 years old, but she's like an elf.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really only like a
She like baby.
20-year-old. Yeah, she's only like 20 or something. And, you know, Shepard, I'm guessing, is like 30, like
Probably,
early 30s, probably. Yeah, so she even's like, a little young for you, isn't she? Or are you trying to... It's just... She throws shade your way if you're trying to flirt with both of them at the same time. She shades you pretty bad, and really wants you to like make a decision about it. So it's kind of fun. But if you're a femshep, I don't know if you get a lot of those dialogue options because you're not romancing her. I know you said you romanced Caden.
Yeah, he was the only one that presented as an option. If it was an option, I was trying to go with Garrus, but I don't know how that works, and I also didn't interact with him much outside of his job, so it wasn't an option that presented itself. I liked Caden from the get-go because he was, he's there from the beginning, and he's all, at least in the Legendary Edition, his face model is objectively a good-looking guy, so I was like, oh, all right, I'm vibing.
The bad part is in the Legendary Edition, everyone has a bit of a upgrade, and that when you see Ashley, that's with her upgrade.
Yeah, she's still hideous.
But if you
she got a nice bod though. She got a butterface though. I'll tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She got nice hair, butterface.
If you have her survive and take her all the way to the third game, she does get a new character model. Like,
Yeah, I've seen the third game's character model. It was so jarring that I didn't even know who it was. I was like, who the fuck is that? You're like, Ashley. I'm like, oh yeah.
like she discovers how to actually style her hair or put some makeup on or something. I'm not trying to be too shallow, but it is a little like everyone else. What's also really funny about, because this is a game from 2007, but what I thought was always weird is the aliens always looked good, but the humans all looked kind of bland,
uncanny.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the Turians looked great, the Quarians, the Krogan, and even the random Batarian or whatever. Those all looked pretty good, but maybe it's just because they're not supposed to be looking real.
Yeah, they've got like a sort of art style to them. It's not like hyper realistic humans. They're not. It's not exactly what you expect. So it's a little bit uncanny in the original.
Yeah. Plus, and then the random
facial glitches.
Yeah, they don't happen often, and I'd never really experienced too many glitches. I definitely never experienced a Mako glitch. That would suck. The only glitch I did with the Mako is I actually was able to flip it onto its, where the tires are up, like it's a dead cockroach, and I couldn't get it flipped back over. So it was just,
yeah, that sucks.
I reloaded the save because I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's stuck. I didn't even consider walking because that seemed tedious. But no, yeah, as far as I know, you should be able to, in the dialogue, romance Garrus, and I think the girls can romance Liara as well. But
I'd have to look it up. That would be something, if I were to do in another playthrough, I would have to meta it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my goal now for the next 2 games is to just rekindle it with Caden just for the achievements of doing it for all 3 games.
Well, what's interesting is by the 3rd game...
Akapura says they can, to whatever question you asked, if you can romance Liara, I think, and Garrus.
Okay, perfect. No, because I definitely know the women can romance Garrus, because the
blue chicks go both ways.
Yeah, the FemShep players out there, Garrus was like the main guy they hooked up with throughout the games. So, and there's a whole bunch for the guy Shep.
I would definitely like the option of Garrus, because Garrus is the one that I liked out of the best of them. I feel like he had the most diverse personality. Everybody else had good character, but I feel like his personality was pretty diverse. You get to see him mad, you get to see him upset, you get to see him, you get to see him in a lot of different states. Which I guess you do for every character, but I feel like Garrus just portrays it a lot better.
Yeah. Tali is really the only one that doesn't have a ton of character in the first game. Like, I'm glad she's there, but she could almost not be there and nothing would be lost. Really?
No, yeah. If she didn't join your crew afterwards, it wouldn't really matter, because you never get any important Geth information from her that you don't get anywhere else. An exception to that right there is Liara is useful after you pick her up, as I mentioned a while ago. Once you build up enough of a friendly relationship with her, she is willing to mind meld with you to connect to the message that you got from the beacon to help you try to discern it. And after you interacted with the space creature mind spore thingy, it also cleared up the vision, so she connects to you again and helps decipher it more with you. So she becomes useful to you outside of your missions, whereas Tali never really does.
Not really. Which, I mean, it's not really much of a spoiler.
Go ahead.
She becomes way more a part of the story in the later games.
I would hope so, because the Geth are still important. So, she is our direct link to the Geth in their history.
It's like, I like the character. She's pretty adorkable. I some people say her voice is grating. I was like, I don't know. I thought she was kind of cute. And that she's
got a space Eastern European accent.
Yeah. I always thought I couldn't tell if she was supposed to be like if her gear was kind of like a hijab almost.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It is pretty cool. I like that way it has like a lot of cloth on it.
Well, it's just she's got that, and they all live in those suits because her whole race lives.
They're
in, like,
immunocompromised.
Yeah,
All of them are
sterile
like
environment.
super. Yeah, they're gonna get mega diseases that they take off their face.
Yeah, so they just, oh, it's just kind of a neat thing. That's kind of the things I really liked about the world building in this game too. Is there are some standard bits about each of the races, because just for how ingrained certain things in sci-fi are with everybody, I'm just glad that they took everyone a little further than Star Trek a little bit, just because as much I absolutely love Star Trek, it's just, and I understand why, it's because of limitations of makeup and budget and things, but it's just too many of the aliens on Star Trek just blatantly look like humans with a messed up
Color,
forehead
yeah.
or something.
Well, yeah, with
Yeah.
some prosthetic. Yeah. I know what you mean. Men in Black has the same thing. Yeah, it feels like the races, despite their names being very similar, but I guess that makes sense just based on how naming of races and species and localized country, nationality, whatever. You have the Taurians and the Quarians, and you have the Solarians. You have 3 Ians at the end of it, and it makes sense because they all come from, presumably, Quaria. They come from Solaria. They come from, so they're probably named after their own planet, which makes sense. But you could have had more diverse names. You could have named the Solarians the Solenoids, something like that.
I'm sure there's some.
That's my gripe. You're right. All the aliens are diverse, other than their naming. Whenever the game was first starting out, and I hadn't really familiarized myself, when people would say like a species, I'd be like, I don't know what that is. You don't have people walking around being like, "Hey, I'm Garrus Satorian. What's up, guy?" Like, you don't. If I don't know you're a Taurian, I don't know what you are. I know you're whatever the fuck your face is, but I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know how to be not racist if I don't have something to call you.
I just always remembered the Krogan. For some reason in my head, I couldn't remember that name right, but I could remember the grocery store, Kroger. So I called them Krogers for a while.
Shout out Kroger.
Yeah. No, I love that part about it. Also, the voice acting I thought was really great.
Phenomenal. The voice acting and the I'm just gonna chalk it up to the remake because I doubt it looked that good. The facial animations and the textures, as well as the voice acting, made it so appealing to actually watch dialogue and stuff. There's only a few times where I ever hit like the advance to the next line sentence button, or like skip or whatever. There's only a few times where I was like, okay, skip. And I was usually skipping Shepard's lines because I don't need to know what Shepard's saying. I can just fill in the blanks. I want to hear you guys talk. So yeah, the voice acting is one of the highest accolades of this game. It is phenomenal.
Well, I thought what really helped is it seems like, I'm not knocking other games, but it seems like they all hired like professionals to do it. As much as I love Elder Scrolls and those games, I swear they have 5 voice actors who have been voice acting every Bethesda game since, I don't know, 1998.
You looking to protect yourself or deal some damage?
Yeah. That same
Right.
guy, his voice was there in Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim, and the same for some of the Fallout voices and everything.
Yeah.
No,
so it never feels like you're hearing the same person twice. Like, even when enemies are running around saying lines, they're not like repetitive, annoying lines being like, run, get into cover. They're not saying the same thing over and over. So even with enemies voice acting, it feels like they're talking just enough to be like believable, but they're not just spamming dialogue at you.
And they had and the voice actors that they had all had voice acting experience, and they had a variety of voice types. So just by the voice, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely the pilot. That's what was his name? Adama, the senator guy.
Mhm.
Like they all had very distinct voices. So,
Yeah, they have little accents, they have quirks, they have inflections. You can tell that they're from parts of the Human Alliance, because at this point, Human has expanded enough to be on different planets, like Ashley's from Eden.
and I also liked how all the, like, pretty much, one of the things I liked about the Turians is that they all had like this, I want to call it like Transformers filter on their voice.
Yes, they would constantly go in and out of being like modulated, so they would just be speaking with their vocal cords, and then it would like a second or third set of vocal cords would come into it, and it felt like a variant alien speech pattern, because it didn't feel like it was a robot filter. It felt like there were just different parts of the throat that were moving that I don't have.
Yeah, so those weird little mandibles they had.
Mm-hmm.
No, those are all great. And the list of the actual voice actors in there, like we already mentioned Keith David, Seth Green was Joker, and Deanna Troi from Star Trek was the matriarch.
Oh,
and
neat.
she also did Desdemona and other, like, most of the staff, it seemed like they all had plenty of voice acting credits. And Jennifer Hale, she does FemShep, and she's done a ton of voice acting.
Yeah.
So,
she's a real good voice actor.
Yeah, so they definitely had the A-team on the voice acting. And
I really liked Saren's voice too, because he has the Torian voice, and he also has a tiny bit of like synth in it, because he has like guest parts infesting his body at this point. So he has just the tiniest bit of like machine grading to it, as well as the Torian voice inflection.
And he had those the eyes. He had like mechanical eyes, which I always thought was so weird, that at the start of the game, when he's his hologram, when he's talking to the council, it's clearly he's got all these
he's literally got machines growing out of him.
Like, nothing to see here. Oh yeah, that's just Saren.
That's how he looks. He just that's how he looks. He likes to put robot parts on him. Okay, what are you gonna be racist against Torians now? Just because he's got some chrome on him? No, yeah, that's exactly what I said in like when I was live streaming. I said it in the middle of the. If I was Shepard, I would have said that out loud. I'd be like, he's got robot parts. What? Okay, I guess I'll have to get something proof besides your own eyes. I'll go get a sound file.
Yeah, there we go. The sound file. And it's like, and then when they play the sound file, they're just like, oh, well, clearly this is
irrefutable proof.
Yeah, this could have been. There's no deep fakes at all in the year 35,000 or 3,500 or whatever it is.
No, but you know what there could be? Somebody with a regular old analog voice recorder just hitting play and stop, and then going and cutting the tape to get. Analog still exists. Anyway.
Yeah. No, it's fine. And I guess another good thing I really liked about the game is I never really found any of the dialogue to be cringy or anything, or people like crazy overacting, or like
I didn't roll my eyes once at something somebody said. How somebody's behaving or what they're doing. Yeah, sure, but that's you're rolling your eyes at the person. But it's not like I heard a line and it was like, we gotta go Mass Effect this. No, nothing like that.
Everyone played it pretty straight in the game, and there was humor, but it didn't overpower anything. I thought the writing was pretty good overall for the game. Like it was definitely a BioWare game, because I swear they have like 3 or 4 gimmicks they stick to ever since
Dragon Age.
But well, even before that, because they did Knights of the Old Republic and
True.
Empire,
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
which had the exact same plot twist in it of Knights of the Republic and Jade Empire. When I was playing Jade Empire, I'm like, part of the way through is they keep talking about this sacred chosen one we're supposed to find. What's the chance it's actually been me the whole time? And they just, when it happened, I'm like, yeah, I saw that coming about 5 hours ago.
I am expecting Shepard to be like a genetic culmination of a million years of like careful coding and time manipulation, and that's what I'm expecting. But that's okay. I know how the final scene of the story ends, so at least I know where it's going. Anyway, speaking of the end of this game, you finally meet up with Saren on the Citadel, and it's time for your final confrontation with him. You meet up with him, and you talk to him after battling through all of his armies, and you essentially tell him, dude, you gotta stand down, okay? Look, either I'm gonna have to fight and kill you, or you and I can do this together and stop Sovereign. And he is hard to convince, but if you have been focusing on your speechcraft all the way up until this point, you have the clearly indicated options, and if you're far enough in the game, you can even pick both of them. You can switch between the blue options and the red options and still talk him into a position where he's like, you know what? I agree with you. But unfortunately, it's too late, and I can't stop this, and I'm clocking out. So he pulls out his pistol and he shoots his own head off. I can't say I've ever talked a boss into killing himself before in a game. I've talked bosses into a lot of stupid stuff, but I don't think I've ever convinced one to blow his head off. So that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, okay, sweet. He's super not dead though. I know that for there's no way that's how the boss fight ends. There's no way I can passive ending this game, and then there's going to be some cutscenes, and the game's going to wrap up and roll credits after this, but there's no fucking way I just skipped the last boss fight by hitting some blue text on my screen. So,
I do love the idea when that happened, because it's just sort of like, he's like, you know what? Maybe I have been, the bad guy the whole time. Huh. Well, one way to handle this would be like, at the end of like a Batman game or movie, and he has that big like showdown with the Joker or something, and the Joker's like, wow, I've been an asshole and I'm gonna keep doing this, aren't I? There's only one way to solve this, and it's
right. It's not how you were expecting, but it's like, oh well, thanks. I honestly do appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. That was pretty cool of you.
I was gonna do it anyways.
I was gonna do it, but you saved me a couple of bullets, so thanks. Yeah. He falls on the ground, and you talk through a couple of things. I believe this is where you actually make the choice to save the Citadel council members or not. I think it's after you do the first part of the fight with Saren. After you clear that up, whoever is on your team will be ordered to go over there and essentially double tap the guy, at which point you'll go over there and they'll shoot him again, which they should just keep shooting him until he has no skull, but it's fine. They just shoot him once with their little energy pistol, and then it's like, alright, well, that takes care of that. Then it transitions to the cutscene of the Citadel teams kind of fighting on Sovereign and doing enough of damage to him that he's getting upset. Not necessarily hurt. We don't know what the concept of pain is for the Reaper, but he is at least disengaging from his current activity that he's doing and focusing on something else like revenge. So we can assume he's being hurt. And after this cutscene kind of ends and there's cool space battles and stuff. By the way, fantastic cutscenes. I honestly wish I put them in here just so we could see them. But there's a bunch of space fighting, and then it goes back into the station, and Sovereign juices up the corpse of Saren with all of his red lightning Reaper power. I don't know, whatever he does. He mutates the shit out of him with all the implants that he has inside of Saren's body and turns him into like a even taller version of himself that's like made of bone and metal. And I don't know, he turns into like a four-legged creature version of himself and kind of starts like hopping around and shooting lasers out of his eyes. And I don't know, honestly, the fight kind of lost me there when he turned into like a robot Spider-Man. I was just like, all right, cool. You are down inside the little room that you've had a couple of council meetings in, and it's kind of nice because it's the only time you get to be in this room. You're walking around, it's like a little tiny garden, Geth keep fighting you, there's a bunch of snipers in here, which are, again, pretty much the only thing that can hurt you unless you get caught off guard by Saren using his, like, concussive moves. But, You just walk around clearing the ads, doing some damage to him. He does have like a second stage where if you damage him, there's like a mini cutscene that'll happen, and then Sovereign will be displayed being attacked more, so you can see what's going outside the station, and then I'll cut back to the fight, which is cool in a normal fight, and if it only lasts one time. But if you have to do the boss fight multiple times, being forced to watch an unskippable cutscene in the middle of a fucking cutscene, or in the middle of a boss fight, is really annoying, because you can't skip it. You can't just keep going with the fight, especially if you're like in the position to keep doing your combo or something, and then you have to wait 30 seconds for the cutscene, and then you're like, oh, I mispressed, now I can't. Anyway, the cutscene ends. He keeps jumping around, doing a little bit more. He calls some more enemies to him, and there isn't anything really to the fight. He doesn't have a huge move set. He doesn't have a lot of positions he can go to. He doesn't have a good amount of ad diversity, and the ads that he does have are the typical weaker versions. They're not the elite versions. So the fight is just monotonous. Once he's in his second phase, he can like open his mouth and like shoot like explosive blasts at you, which can, if you're caught like on terrain, can kill you so fucking quick, especially on the higher difficulties. So, depending on your build and who you have on your crew, this fight could be easy or it could be real hard, especially depending on what difficulty you have. It's the only time in the game, other than fighting Rachni, where I was like, okay, this is challenging because they have bigger numbers than me. That's about it. It's not because there's like advanced mechanics. I don't have to remember patterns. I don't have to position myself very well. There's a big pillar in the middle of the room. All you have to do is just kind of walk around that because the pillar is indestructible, and you can take cover on the pillar. So you can use it to ignore all snipers' line of sight. And anytime Saren jumps on your side, you just walk over to the other side, crouch behind a rock, still avoiding the snipers. You can go the whole fight basically with ignoring his additional enemies, which is in my opinion, a bad aspect of a boss fight. If a boss fight's gonna have a bunch of minions and like chumps to fight while you're killing him, they should either be sent in waves or be a part of the boss fight in a way that you have to clear them to get to the boss for another part of the mechanic. If they're just sending in extra damage to be shooting you in the back whenever you're about to kill the boss, and then the minion kills you because there's infinite of them, it just takes away from the design of the fight that is already kind of shitty because it's just a guy jumping from wall to wall.
Yeah, it's
not a good boss fight. This goes back into the not good game part. Like, I really like the 14 seconds right before the boss fight, and then like the boss fight started, I'm like, ugh.
I cheesed that whole fight because it was me, Liara, and Garrus, and Liara and I were just throwing singularities and lifts everywhere, so just everything was just ragdolling all over the place and just getting shot out. It was actually a really anticlimactic end.
The first two times I fought him, I was trying to do it like the rest of the fights and using my sniper, killing the ads, waiting for line of shot, waiting for my heat gauge, just taking my time. I got him really low, and then I just died, and then I died a second time before the end of the second phase, and then I died apparently a third time now that I'm remembering it, on the second phase where I got caught on a rock and got hit by his concussive balls repeatedly. So at that point, I just switched to my shotgun, put the explosive rounds on it, and then just kept hip firing until it broke his poise, and then I would just stagger him on, and then just deleted his first health bar, waited for the stupid cutscene, walked around the room until I got position, hit him with a couple shotgun rounds, waited until he ragdolled, sprinted up to him, and just shotgunned him until he died. When I actually was like, okay, I could just kill him with ragdolls, the fight became so trivial that it might have been like a normal combat scenario. So overall, the boss fight with Saren, very bad. If it would have been a two-parter where the first part before I told him to kill himself would have been him flying on his Green Goblin glider again and calling more ads before I shot him off his Green Goblin thingy, and then we fought down in the hole a second time, that fight would have been even worse. So I'm really glad I skipped the first part by convincing him to die.
Sorry, while you were talking there, I thought you had a ghost in your house or something at first because the door behind you started moving, but it was your black and white cat, then I saw him walk by. So I was just like,
Yeah, and the mic does pick that up too. It's just in the frequency range. I have like a noise gate on my mic. That door is just in the frequency range to bypass my noise gate, and it just immediately hot mics.
no, it's just I heard the little squeaky door hinge and then just see it moving behind you. I'm like, what's going on? Are you?
I'm about to be killed.
Nope, it's a cat. That's all.
All right, and with that, that's pretty much the end of the playable part of the game. The game kind of wraps up there. Sovereign is blown up. He keeps getting shot until the physical form of that Reaper that we know to be named Sovereign was exploded. Who knows if he's really dead? We don't know how Reaper consciousness works. No idea. But for the moment, the day is kind of saved. The Citadel opens back up. There's no portal full of Reapers currently fucking all of us in the face. So everything's kind of hunky-dory. We just got to do some repairs, and during that battle, unfortunately, I let the council die. So now I'm presented with the option to pick a new member of the council, whether you pick Captain Anderson or the ambassador that's been... He's not really been like a bad guy the whole game, but he is just kind of a political cunt. So if you don't like him, you don't have to pick him. You could just pick Anderson because he's a G. And he has military experience, so we just went through a galactic war. We probably need a military guy in charge. Just saying, because it doesn't seem like we can talk our way out of this. Sovereign made that very clear on Vermeer that he's not here to talk.
No,
not even a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna kill you, and that's how it's gonna end.
And what's great about that whole setup is we saw what one Reaper by himself did. That's just one. If he brings the whole family with him, of who knows how many, most of the Council and Alliance fleet got destroyed by just the single Reaper. So it's good that we prevented the rest from coming through.
Yeah, it doesn't help that they're giant, super destructive battleships, but they're also super intelligent, ageless creatures with a vendetta. So
and
they're
mind control.
Right, that localized mind control too. Fortunately, it does seem to have like a field, and he can't exert it over infinite distance, but it does seem like it's irreversible based on the information in the first game. Once you're indoctrinated, it doesn't matter the distance, you're fucked. So that pretty much concludes the story of Mass Effect 1. You are going to go on and continue your service and getting more... just what the game presents as you. You're going to continue your service, go around finding more Prothean stuff, and learning how to better secure the universe against the Reapers whenever they inevitably try to come again. So that's currently Shepard's mission, being a Spectre and trying to rebuild the Citadel with a member of the Human as the current head of seat, or only seat, I guess. If you don't let the Council die, what happens?
Pretty much the same thing. It's just the Council give you a big, we always believed in you, Shepard. It's pretty much ends the same way. It's just the Council is standing there instead of anyone else. So. Oh,
so Anderson and Adaro aren't there?
No, they do. You still go through. You still pick
gotcha.
Those two. It's just slightly different.
The Council are just also there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's either Council plus Human or Human.
Humans are in charge now.
Do you at any point learn how many people died in that trade-off? Do you learn how many ships got taken out, how many soldiers died to save the Council?
They do talk about that in Mass Effect 2.
Okay, I would like to know whether or not it was worth it, at which point I will judge you accordingly. All right, we are going to hit 3 hours now, so we're going to kind of wrap up, and we're going to do our last 2 segments that we always do. What was your favorite part of Mass Effect?
Oh, gosh. The whole sequence on Vermeer was really good because I felt like the first couple of planets, they all kind of introduced something. And then so that was one where you're kind of you've got all your people. At that point in time, you're pretty much half or 3/4 of the way leveled up. So all of your abilities are pretty locked in and everything's kind of running on all cylinders. Although there was one side quest where you're blowing up stuff on the moon. That one was kind of cool. I like that one.
I did like that mission. That was a cool side mission because it gave you like a class specialization. It switched whatever your initial class was from... I went from being an infiltrator to being a commando, so I got like additional combat abilities because I went to do a side quest.
Yes. No, those were all pretty cool parts. I like those a lot.
I would say my favorite part is just the interactions between getting to meet the crew and getting to know who they were and learning more about them. And even though I didn't do my best as a captain, knowing how fleshed out these characters really are, and they're not just like, so this is my backstory and now I'm an archer. It makes it so in the second game, I'm definitely going to, as many times as I can, be like, hey, you want to talk to me? Hey, what do you got to say? No, you don't want to talk to me? Okay, fine, whatever. Gosh. So definitely my favorite part is just interacting with the crew. Just the simplicity of getting to know Joker, getting to know Caden, you know, Navigator Presley. Everybody that had a name at least had something to say, and I really like that.
No, those are all great.
And last but not least, of course, you got to get in your plugs. Is there anything you want to plug or promote for people to check out what you've been up to?
Oh gosh, I've got nothing going on. So,
that's okay. That's perfectly fine.
Everyone should watch What Is This Game all the time. So, yes.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you plugging us. And I really appreciate you coming on and filling the spot of Dillon. Over the next couple of episodes, we mentioned it in the previous bonus episode, but for anyone that's sticking around, this is the official announcement. Going forward, Dillon will only be able to participate as the co-host for Switch-ported titles, or something that can run on a really low-end Mac, because those are currently the only two systems that he has. So, over the next couple of episodes, we're going to be filling in with rotating co-hosts and return guests, as well as new people to kind of keep the show going and focus on some games that I haven't played and games that I have played and I want to play again. The next episode coming up is going to be The Outer Worlds, followed immediately by the Dead Space remake coming at the end of October. So if any of you want to check that out, feel free. Those will be going up as a going live soon on the channel once I pick the official times for them. And I just wanted to promote Dillon, even though he's not here. Dillon's recently been monetized, so go check him out. Dillon from somewhere on YouTube. He's got a variety stream, TikTok Around the Clock, and a Variety Wednesday show where he talks about Steel Toe. So, without further ado, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.